is Whataburger Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Yeomans, Zach Wolchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Heckma Harrison.
I feel like there's no better way to start off week 9 of Texas high school football with a Plano Wildcat highlight. Zach Wolchuk, that is for you. Plano in a battle right now with Jesuit. Flower Mound Marcus with the SWAT at the line of scrimmage. Going back to last night, Jalen Travis, Mansfield Summit. How about that over the defender? Then ankles. Oh, dignity gone. Fourth quarter touchdown for Summit. Grapevine wide receiver. Who's this guy's name? Oh, it's Tejada. Plenty of Tejadas.
He is Tejada out of there.
Shout out to the Tejadas.
House it all. To the Tehouse is what it is. Sexy quarterback. Xavier Foreman. Foreman breaking away from tacklers and then finding a seam. Up the middle, up the lumbers on the near sideline. Rumble, young man, rumble. That's how week 9 of Texas high school football starts.
That's awesome.
Welcome back to Whataburger Friday Night Stars. It's overtime,
right.
and
you behave.
If you can notice, if you're watching us online right now, it's hard to behave when you've got this much gold around you.
This is so good.
Look at this.
This clutch.
We got hooked up by Whataburger and none other than Chris Beam, who was probably
MVP.
He is the Friday Night Star.
Sorry, Schmidtke. No doubt about it.
Move over, Schmidtke. Make a place for Beam.
What a day, and thanks, Chris, for hooking us up with some Whataburger. We love our Whataburger. It's the greatest thing on the planet.
Ketchup, man.
Oh, man, I've got an open one
I cut Walchuk just stacking a straw in there earlier.
You saw that?
Right
I didn't mean to do that.
I was about to say, you got to hide that a little bit better.
Yeah, I thought I was private about that one, but I slurped those ketchups.
Actually, I think you got a little on you.
Yeah,
you do.
Well, that's good. Yeah, we got to wipe off and make sure
I'm cleaned.
I'm the only one without like a full-grown beard on the show.
You got some spots.
That. You know what? I'm gonna.
Are you a teenager?
I'll grow it out.
You're about to get into No Shave November.
You grew it out pretty heavy last year. I think No Shave November.
No, it was patchy though.
Oh, but there was still
gross.
some respect.
I can tell you right now, I grew it out a little bit during baseball season. Whenever I was in West Virginia, and I can grow out a little bit better than last year. It's not great. It's not a Wolchuk beard or an Eric Chiafalo beard.
Appreciate that,
but it's better than what it was.
It just leaves Heckma right out of the beard
Heckma's
conversation.
Yours is given.
Heckma's probably has a better beard than all of us.
I like your beard, Heckma.
It's like the salt and pepper I'm striving for.
The touch of
It'll
gray.
happen. It'll happen. It'll happen.
I'm looking forward to it.
Wait for it.
Can I touch your face?
No, stop
Do
it.
not
Stop
touch.
It. Stop it.
Hey, don't bite me. Don't bite me.
Bite you on air, bro.
Keep that off the air,
Bite you on
boys.
air, bro.
Oh, man.
Swear to God.
Well,
So you went to the mountains and figured out how to grow a beard.
Yeah,
I mean,
tried to.
that's brilliant.
So
I
about
at least
these football
attempted.
games, huh?
Yeah, we've got football to talk about.
We got
Plenty
football
of
on.
it
We got football
around the area, and it's been good, to say the least. Last night we looked at some of the scores. We had a couple really good games. I mean, Mansfield Summit, DeSoto, one to talk about. Saxe and Lakeview Centennial was a solid game. But other than that, there were a lot of blowouts around the DFW area. That's not necessarily the case tonight in terms of some of these outstanding games going back and forth, and there's no other place to start than the Battle of the Red Rail. Grapevine hosting Colleyville Heritage in District 4-5A action. And this one's a pretty close one. However, Colleyville Heritage out to a hot start early, and they continue to lead in this one, boys.
Yeah, I told you, man. This is a battle. It's a battle to the end. 25-7. All right, third quarter. This fourth quarter
scored since I last.
Yeah, 25-7, and this one is not over. Believe that.
Do we know? Have we gotten any confirmation on the streakers at this point?
We're still waiting.
But I do love some of this, the looks we're getting here. Both teams clean uniforms on, looking absolutely spicy. And then this big touchdown to Mr. Caleb Tejada. And ever since then, though, this Grapevine offense, and that was kind of my concern coming in, has really, really struggled. I think when you looked at it, Colleyville Heritage seemed to just be a little bit more multifaceted on the offensive side of the ball. Grapevine's struggling.
Yeah, Doug Branch talked about it earlier when we got him on the horn, and he was talking about the running game. And everyone that knows Coach Joe Willis, he wants to air it out. But on a night like tonight, running the ball is the best thing to do. Right now, Braxton Ash has 12 carries for 82 yards. But Isaac Chabet, a name that we talked about at the beginning of the show, 16 carries, 65 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So Chabet is putting on a show.
Chabet putting
I like
on
that.
a show.
That's a good Heckmanism. That might be one of the few
Just trying to
we've
catch
had
up.
tonight.
I was trying to catch up. I hadn't given you any tonight.
You were a little slacking in that first.
But I
show.
got the chain, though. I got the chain.
You got the
so
chain,
feel that.
and the chain's back up for grabs. I tried to give it to Chris Beam, and he didn't do it, but that's okay. We'll go later. But
Such a
nobody
humble man.
turns. Nobody turns down the chain.
he turned it down. You talk about the good looks, though. I mean, packed house, despite some of the weather that's involved, and the red unis all along with
I
the
love
white
Colleyville's
unis.
helmets.
Oh, they look so good. And
Amazing.
The
The
little bit
matte.
of that.
Yeah.
And if this score holds on, we are, at least at the moment, looking to get Joe Willis on the phone later in the show. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to Colleyville Heritage main man. The biggest thing for me is the rushing yards, or is the passing yards, rather. Just 101 through the air for Grapevine, where a lot of their identity has come through the air this season. That hasn't necessarily been the case, and it hasn't been because of turnovers. It hasn't been because of penalties, at least in some of those drives. They just have failed to find the first down marker tonight.
Yeah, Caleb Tejada has been a big part of the Grapevine offense, and I kind of thought the other way around. I know that Grapevine likes to run the ball with Tejada because of his running style, but he's getting it done receiving as well. He has a big play, 1 catch, 66 yards for a touchdown. So they're getting it done. Like I know this is a rivalry game, and they're going to play this to the end.
And Heritage's defense has been playing really well. You know, they got blown out by Geyer. But outside of that, 3 of their last 4 games, you take away the Geyer outlier, they've only given up 6 points defensively. So they came in playing really good defense. Grapevine, a team that I thought kind of struggled on the offensive end of things, and that's starting to bear out a little bit as you see Heritage start to pull away. And it took that big play for Grapevine, a 66-yarder to Caleb Tejada. Outside of that one big play, they've really been stifled by the Panther D.
And that one to continue forward, and we'll see exactly how that one does unfold in the final final 10 minutes or so. But at the same time, I mean, we've talked about it. Crazy things happen in that rivalry matchup, and it sure is not over yet, like Heckma said to start the show. Moving on to Denton Geyer and Northwest Eaton. Denton Geyer, let's just say they're taking care of business as always, in 49-17, boys. At 402 yards of total offense, the defense for Geyer outshining really all of Eaton today with the 63 yards passing. It's been an impressive showing from the Wildcats.
Let's say Cobb. How'd you say that earlier?
Shish kebab.
There it is.
That's so tough.
Not a shish kebab.
That is so tough to say.
I was hoping that you could do that again, and you did. And King Cobb is doing it, guys. 5 touchdowns, 144 yards.
Yeah, killing it. He's got 5 touchdowns. Count them, 5. Seth Metter also with 105 yards and a touchdown. Eli Stowers, of course, threw that one to me. He's got 170 yards through the air. We thought coming into this one that, Northwest Eaton would have to run the football. Jabez Hawkins, 12 carries, 20 yards. He's really been stifled. I don't know if maybe he even got hurt. We don't have anybody at that game, unfortunately. But it's been Braden Santana. 13 carries, 105 yards, and a touchdown. He's been the one that's carried the load on the ground. But still, Geyer's defense, we knew it. They're playing great. After that South Lake Carroll game, they've come in defensively. Their last 2 games, they've only allowed 10 points under 200 yards total offense. And offensively, we just expected them. I think the one area that we knew Eaton was pretty good, defensive line. Well, Cobb's with 5 rushing touchdowns tonight. Eaton's offensive line is winning that interior battle, and that's something that they've prided themselves on throughout the season.
Yeah, and we knew coming into this one, Eaton struggles throwing the ball through the air. I mean, they really do. They have all season long. They've run the ball well. And tonight they've run the ball well also. I mean, Hawkins not being in there is definitely a blow for them, but still to come away with almost 200 yards rushing at this point in the game, you feel good about it, but only 63 yards passing. That's not going to win you many football games, especially when you're giving up well over 200 yards on the ground defensively. And that's the one thing Eaton hangs their hat on is being stifling up front defensively, but that Geyer offensive line is just so big. big. It's so strong. And other than against Southlake, they've pretty much dominated every opponent that they've had to play.
They've really been outstanding. And for Eaton, obviously, you fall. They've played a lot of close games.
Yes.
You fall down multiple scores. That kind of one-dimensional offense where you can't throw through the air.
Right.
It really, really hurts you.
And they have a tough sledding for them because they get Geyer this week and then it's Southlake next week. It's the two best teams in the district. You
Doesn't
got
get any
back-to-back.
easier.
And these are two must-win scenarios at this point for Eaton, the way it's shaken out for them. So it's unfortunate, but it was sort of what we saw coming.
Yeah, not looking great there for Eaton overall in District 5 6A. Going to 6A, though, the battle for the mound. Flower Mound Marcus and Flower Mound. This has turned into quite the football game. 5:30 left in the third quarter. 27-24 is our score, despite Flower Mound with just 175 total yards. However, they're hanging in there, and they have the football in their own territory at a 3rd and 7 at the moment from the 40-yard line. Flower Mound hanging in there. Marcus leading the way. This game is not over by a long shot, and there's plenty left to unfold in this one.
Yeah, this one is far from over. And good news for Marcus, they do have Ty Edwards back and playing. He does have a rushing touchdown from 8 yards out to give them a 14-7 lead. Now, Marcus, they took control of this football game early. With about 10 minutes to go in the second quarter, they were up 27-7. And then Flower Mound went on a rally there right before the end of the first half. They got a field goal. Pierce Hudgens ran it in, and then Stone Eby caught a 4-yard touchdown pass from Blake Short. So that made it 27-24. And now Flower Mound had that momentum. They went into the locker room. They come out. They get the football. You have a chance for that double dip, which is so coveted by coaches right there. You're able to score right before the half, and then right after the half, go ahead and stack those 2 touchdown drives up. Flower Mound's got that opportunity, and right now we talked a lot about that Marcus defense. They looked great, but it seems like Flower Mound's gotten that comfortability back, and they were not really scared of that 17-point lead. They've erased the deficit. You're just down 3 now. Battle of the Mound. It's going to go down to the wire. It could be who has the ball last in this one.
Yeah, looking at Blake Short's numbers, I mean, I don't know if these are wrong. 57 yards passing.
It's really been Pierce Hudgens on the ground.
Yeah, and so
he's got over 100 yards.
I was just about to say that, man. You challenged him at the beginning of the show, saying
Now, I know he watches Pierce. I know you watch.
That's how he gets fired up before the game. I mean, that's what these guys do. We used to listen to music in the locker room before the game. Now you put the headphones in, you watch a little Friday Night Stars.
You have to, man.
Get you fired up.
Tyson Edwards is back also for the Marauders, so that is going to make a big difference in it. So going down the stretch, this is going to be an interesting game to watch because both teams have all their full cast of characters.
Garrett Nussmeier, though, is playing fantastic. 256 yards, 3 touchdown passes for him. So Marcus, definitely, they've been able to attack that Flower Mound secondary, much like Hebron did a week ago. We'll see, though, if Flower Mound can go ahead and make those halftime adjustments. That's really been the leaky faucet for Flower Mound. Their defense hasn't been as good as it was a year ago.
Yeah.
They're still able to put up points. Can their defense come up in the second half, much like they did in their probably the other biggest district game for them until this one? Louisville. Louisville was the best defense they had played. Marcus might have the second best defense in that district to Louisville. Fun challenge for them here in the second half.
It is a fun challenge and a fun game overall. That's just it's so interesting to see the crosstown rivalries like that unfold, especially whenever they get close late, and that makes it even that much more
And the streakers,
enjoyable.
man, they make it so fun.
Oh, so fun all over the place.
Love a good streak.
I got a game kind of just to throw in here because I was just kind of curious to
I
see
want you
what
to
it
be
ended
curious
up-
and throw in those games.
what it ended up being. So this week I saw a thing. Dave Campbell's puts out their computer predictions in scores. It pops out scores. Well, it had Highland Park as 101-point favorites over
my
Dallas
goodness.
Sunset.
Are
The
they
Sunset
covering?
Bison. Right now they are. At the moment, it's halftime at Highlander Stadium, and it's 72-0. Highland Park at halftime.
Chandler Moore is probably going to get the second half off.
You
Probably
should've
got
just
the
said-
second
You
quarter
should have
off.
just said Chuck Norris is kicking some butt tonight.
Oh, my
man.
goodness. What are the stat lines?
44-0 at the end of the first quarter is what that score was. And I'll give you stat lines here in a moment. 478 yards of total offense for Highland
No
Park.
Give me
way.
4 Morris scores.
We'll say total yards for Dallas Sunset 18 at the moment. Chandler Morris was 4 for 4 with 206 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Oh, God. Stop
Four
it.
passes,
Stop
four
it.
touchdowns.
Holy
How many rushing?
Oh, my goodness.
How many rushing?
Hunter Heath had 4 carries, 125 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Oh, my God. Stop it.
But Morris didn't have any rushing touchdowns.
Brooks Bond had 2 carries, 35 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Stop it. That's 7 total touchdowns. Get rid of it. Stop it. Let's stop it right now. You
What's
know?
the skunk rule? 70's got to be
It's
it.
gotta be
What's
it.
the quarterback that they've put in for Chandler?
Let me see.
They're on their number 4 guy now.
Braden Schrager is his
Okay.
name. 2 for 4, 50 or 35 yards, no touchdowns.
He's about to get a couple.
He's about to get his stat sheet
Yeah.
up.
Think they break 100 tonight, boys?
No, they can't.
There's no way.
99.
Randy Allen
Oh,
wouldn't do
they
that.
can.
They
And
can.
Randy Allen would do that. You don't think
you
so?
think so? I don't
man,
think so.
I
I
can't
can see
do
it.
that.
Coach Allen.
I don't think that
I
would
could see it.
happen. They
It's
absolutely
not his
could.
fault if they execute right.
Hey, if I got my 4 stringers in, man, that's on you at that point. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Guys,
What-
this
what-
is-
I
I don't
can't tell my
think
kids
they
not
do
to
that.
play.
This is high school football.
Yeah, you can't do
Can't do that.
What, do you just take a
No.
knee every time? That's more disrespectful.
Well, there's
Yeah,
already going to be a
take a
running
knee.
clock.
That's more disrespectful.
There will
There's
be a
going
running
to be a
clock.
running clock.
Yeah, well, when you're scoring 4 for 4 for 4 touchdowns, it's like,
We're with
where
you,
do we
Sunset.
go?
No, it is.
I want Sunset
No,
to go out.
I
and
think
score.
Sunset
I
can
don't
make
think
a
I
rally.
am.
I think we're going to overtime.
No, Kyle, you're the only one that's with him.
Comeback
in that.
season.
This,
Oh, poor guys.
I just selfishly would like to see 100 points scored.
So would I.
It would be
I'll be
interesting.
honest. I'm being very selfish, but I think we need to
That would
see.
be extremely selfish, but that's
Go
okay.
Wills
You would
on
think
them,
it would be
boys.
kind of
That's
cool
why
to see.
you're in the studio and you don't have a headset on a sideline somewhere.
What?
That's why you're not a coach.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
He could be, though.
love it.
He'd be the best offensive coordinator in the game.
Thank you. Thank you for believing in me.
I believe in
No,
you.
I love it. That's why you're not a coach. That's why you're sitting here with us. Because you would run it up 100. You would do that.
Who's
to
the
some
greatest of
poor
all time?
kid.
Bill Belichick?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
Bill
of
wouldn't
course.
do that as a high school coach. He wouldn't do that to a bunch of kids.
You might be right.
Has Doak Walker scored yet?
I just got off of it, but I can let you know here in a minute.
I'm sure
right.
Doak will get some valuable
That's actually
touchdowns.
a good question though, because Doak Walker, of course, the name does carry quite a bit of weight. But
100
yet,
points. I can't believe you.
72-0 at halftime in that
You
one.
don't think
You're
that'd be neat?
you're a horrible person. Chuck.
Doak Walker has not scored. He's had 1 carry for 25 yards.
At this rate, if they just let Chandler Morris throw 4 more passes,
Don't do that.
He's
they'll
not in the
score
game.
100
There's
points.
no need for Chandler
No,
to be
I know.
playing.
I'm just simply saying, if Chandler Morris just gets 4 more passing opportunities, they will score 100 points.
Well, there's been 4 receivers that have caught a single pass and it's gone for a touchdown in the game for Highland.
72
Spread the
to
wealth.
0 at the half.
Have you ever seen that? Like, is that as
Ever,
bad as
man.
you've
Did
Did
ever
we
seen
see that
it?
at W.T. White last night when they were running
No.
for negative 12 yards?
48-0 was
Okay.
that final.
Gotcha.
So no.
That's pretty
At
bad.
halftime, that's up there.
That's
that might be
incredible.
the craziest deficit
Shout
I've
out
seen
to
in half.
Sunset, though, for having positive
Shout out to
yardage.
Sunset. Shout out to.
I mean,
Shout out
W.T.
to
White had
Sunset.
negative
Aren't you
30,
big
whatever.
into the point differential?
Glass
Eric?
half full?
Yeah, talk
Yeah.
about that one.
What are they?
I'm sure
minus
Highland
72
Park is-
tonight.
That's what it is.
That's
That's
bad
what
for a
it
season.
Yeah, that's not good.
There you go. Boy.
Oh, poor Sunset.
Point
Sorry, guys.
differential.
We're gonna do a Sunset game, and he's got to pull out the Sunset. He's got to pull out the point
Yeah, let's see how
differential.
bad it gets. Holy smokes.
All right, let's move on
There
from
needs
that.
to be a 4th team to make the playoffs out of that district.
It'll be Sunset.
it might be Legacy.
Oh, wow.
Might be Mansfield Legacy.
Yeah, it might be.
Moving on, we'll go to the team that has beaten Highland Park previous, or at least this year. Lone Star over Frisco Centennial. Is this one that much better, boys?
Probably
No,
not.
it's not. 72-10.
Woo!
Or
jeez.
62-10. Excuse me. The
Put some
score in
respect
that
on
one.
Centennial,
62,
72.
not 72. I got that stuck in my head. 62-10 is the score
Hold on.
in that one.
Wait a minute.
What did you see?
Man, Marvin Mims.
Uh-oh.
is
What did he
just
do?
5 catches, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns,
Oh, I
man.
just saw it.
Oh, my God. I mean,
Jaden Nixon on the ground, 6 carries, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns.
And they do have another guy that's pretty good, too, the Bogdan kid.
Yeah, Bogdan's pretty good.
He found Pater twice.
He's a stud.
Our guy, Garrett Rangel, 12 of 14, 284 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just like a well-oiled machine there.
And there's
for
another
Lone Star.
Tejada here,
Yeah,
guys.
Ridge. Yeah.
Rich
that's the cousin.
Tejada.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, man.
Tejada's all over the place. And
Had
they're
one in our top 5
it's a
plays.
football family.
69 yards.
All over it.
Nice.
Now, we've got this one, the thing is, like you said, a well-oiled machine for Lone Star. And the way that you kind of see that with it is no turnovers. You take care of the football. And you have a balanced attack. Both sides. Like you said, Bogdan, Nixon. Those two are just 1-2, lightning thunder. We've called them that before. And then you have Rangel and Mims, and he's able to spread the ball around at least a little bit more than Mims. I know Mims has 3 touchdowns because he's going to get his fill. But at the same time, having Garrett Rangel do what he's been able to do as a sophomore quarterback in that system, it adds a whole different level.
He's special, no doubt about it. He runs that offense flawlessly. Jeff Rayburn is doing quite a job there in terms of making sure that defense plays with a lot of discipline as well. Offensively, their balance is nuts. I mean, 4 touchdowns through the air, 5 on the ground. Bogdan's got 2, Nixon's got 3, Rangel's thrown 3, 2 Mims, and then Bruckler's got the other one. So tons of depth there with that offense. I mean, you can go ahead and say we're going to take away Mims. We already saw Frisco Independence try that. All right, that's fine. Here's Nixon, here's Brogdon. If you want to go ahead and take away the run game, that's fine. Here's Mims. Here's Bruckler. I know, by the way, Garrett Rangel, don't sleep on his mobility.
No, he can run.
That's a young man that can also beat you with his legs as well. So Lone Star, a very, very well-balanced offense. When you pair that with maybe the best defense in the state of Texas, they are going to be a tough, tough out moving forward.
That's an
understatement.
Such a good team. Yeah, I was about to say an understatement.
It might be. Yeah. I think we can go ahead and not come back to that game until it's a final, my friends.
Yeah, that's probably what is going to end up happening. Let's go to Frisco Liberty. Let's go Frisco Independence in Little Elm. This is a closer game overall. And we mentioned the importance for Little Elm, of course, with their loss earlier on the forfeited game. Well, they are up in the last minute of the fourth quarter over Little Elm. However, it's 35-31, and Little Elm has the ball about 60 yards out from the end zone. So, within the next 25 seconds, Little Elm's got to find their way into the end zone because they are down by 4. But another solid showing from Independence overall on the road against a very desperate Lobos squad in Little Elm. And this turned out to be a pretty good football game.
What was your matchup? It was Wafer and
Watts.
Wafer, 117 yards and a touchdown.
Wow.
Watts has been utilized a lot more, though, as a receiver, I think, than Little Elm has previously. He's the big play guy. He's kept them in this game. He's got a 52-yard touchdown and a 28-yard touchdown catch to keep Little Elm in this. Honestly, I'm very impressed with the Lobos. I thought Frisco Independence would just have too much for them. Their defense has made some big plays. They forced a safety due to a penalty in the end zone. And just to be down 35-31 now with the football and a chance to go down the field and maybe score, I know the likelihood of it not high, as Jackson Rhodes is the one who caught a 4-yard touchdown from Braylon Braxton to put Independence up. But still, I don't know about you, Heckma, but I really credit to Little Elm here. I mean, it's unfortunate for them because a loss here might eliminate them from postseason contention, but hey, they knew that. They knew it was a must-win, and they've given it their all.
Yeah, we said at the beginning of the show that Little Elm had a really good defense in comparison to Lone Star. Maybe not the same cast of characters, but at the same time, you talk about Tyrese Poe. We talk about my guy, Robert Craig, defensive end linebacker. Those guys were going to make they were going to make the difference. Ryan Watts, he's a guy that's going on both sides, so I can just see in a night like tonight's getting
exhausted,
tired, trying to go both ways. They had to win this game. They played like they had to win this game, but just coming up a little bit short. 25 seconds left in that game.
There's still time left in that game. I mean, it's not over yet. And by the way, Little Elm just got down to the Frisco Independence 27-yard line.
Well, let's talk about it.
So they're going to have a shot here. Down to the 27. I want to talk about John. Okay, is it Mateer? Is that how you say the quarterback's name for Little Elm? John Mateer?
Mateer.
Mateer.
Yes, sir.
He's had himself quite a game. 19 for 22. That's over 86% through the air. 251 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't know if those are just underneath passes or they're screens or whatever it is.
No, we know 2 of the touchdown passes were of
big time,
almost 30 yards
big
or more.
throws.
1 for 28, 1 for 52.
Regardless of what it is, if you can only throw 3 incompletions against a defense like Independence that we've seen put up some solid numbers this year, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And you're having yourself a consistent game, and maybe that's what Little Elm's been missing, is something consistent to rely on that offensive side. They're down to the 22-yard line now with just a couple minutes left in that one, but only 3 incompletions for Mateer in what has been a solid football game, back and forth really throughout. And Little Elm has definitely not let Independence get away from them at least, and led that game late in the third quarter, actually. We'll see if they can make the comeback complete. We saw them win on a last-second field goal last week, guys.
We did.
So we'll be coming back to that one pretty quickly. Let's take a look across the Ford Center, at the Ford Center. Liberty and Frisco Heritage. Heritage come back on last week in the second half. Will they trail to the Liberty Redhawks, who have not won a football game since 2017? So we might have ourselves a little bit of a I don't know if you'd say that a huge upset, but they're up by 2 scores. One score. How about that? Up by 1 score now.
Not so fast, homie.
Right on cue. Number 29 is like, house call. See ya.
Yeah, so Frisco Heritage holding on to what is now a 1-score deficit, trying to come back against Liberty. If Liberty wins, we may have to go over there and try and find their head coach.
They hadn't won since 17.
No, Gatorade bath. We're doing the whole 9.
They went 0-10 last year. They're 0-7 this year. They haven't won since early 2017.
Yeah, I mean, we had that talk about them in Plano West. Maybe it would be a week where both of them get off the schneid. Looks like Liberty's got a good shot. I don't know about Plano West.
And they actually trailed at halftime here. Oh, tipped 2-point conversion, and it's good. How about that? Looked like it was going to be an interception, but instead it ends up into the hands.
I just got a
2-point
feeling
conversion.
it's going to be a heartbreak Liberty loss tonight, guys,
Don't
to make
say
it,
it. Come on.
23 in a row.
You are just such a Debbie
No,
Downer.
it just feels like it. They just go for 2. Now it's a 6-point game. They're going to go get a touchdown. They're going to kick the extra point. They're going to win by 1 with 4 seconds left in the game.
You had to
Sad.
go there.
I see how it plays out.
Did you have some action on this one?
For entertainment purposes only.
Right.
Look at that tip. 2-point conversion right back into the hands. We'll revisit this one. This is actually turning out to be a little bit of a football game across the way.
Barn burner.
Here at the Ford Center. How about this? Let's take a quick break and kind of reset as we start looking at some of these scores fly in here on Whataburger Friday
Stick
Night
around.
Stars.
We'll have an Independence Little final for you.
Oh, is it over?
Rut roll.
That's a good teaser. We'll be back in a moment here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
I'm Billy Martin. I'm an Executive Vice President with North Dallas Bank and Trust. It's about authentic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. At local banks like North Dallas, we give you personalized service that you just can't get at the big banks. Everything we do is driven by your best interest. We call it having a high YQ or U quotient.
Hey, I'm Jack. We started SeatGeek because we wanted fans to have a better, more transparent ticket buying experience. With SeatGeek, you can see the best deals and buy tickets, all with a price match guarantee. The only thing we can't guarantee is that your team will win. So use the code TICKETS20 at checkout for $20 off your first order.
It's game day. A day that should be spent in the living room, not the kitchen. So next game, you just worry about the score, because we've got the food covered. With hand-battered, cooked-to-order, always fresh, never ever frozen chicken fingers, craveable cane sauce, crispy crinkle-cut fries, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Go Cowboys!
Locked out.
Back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars as we look inside the locker room for the Dallas Cowboys, and we've got ourselves a little bit of a runner in the studio.
We got a streaker!
It's Eric Chief.
We got a streaker! Oh my God!
It's like Grapevine and Colleyville Heritage all over again. Well, that's good.
Not the
Is
same.
Heritage still
Why,
winning?
ready to go now?
why are your clothes on?
I'm sorry. I know that wasn't the deal.
This is a
I
high school
choked.
show.
I choked. I'm sorry.
Keep it classy, my friends.
Yes, this is a high school show.
You okay?
guys.
You feel?
Keep it classy. Yeah.
You out of
No, I'm
breath?
out of breath, but feeling good.
All right, so I don't know, host of the show, where you want to go with this, but
Well, you talked about you said that you
Seems
had
like you're running
a
things
final.
now over there, big boy.
taking over
You've
the
got the
main
chain.
chair, baby.
And the chain.
Yeah.
You take
Why
the
did-
turnover chain and
why
he thinks he's
did-
got it
it's all
all.
he's
Why
got.
did he get
It's
the
all
chain?
he's got.
I just put it on for
He
fun.
just wanted the
just wanted to
chain.
weigh it down on my shoulders.
Looks good.
It has
think that's
significance.
24 karat.
You like it?
Nope.
24
He's so
I'm not sure who it looks better
upset
on.
about it. All right, give us a
All
final.
right,
Yeah, come
second
on.
down and 5, final play of the game. John Mateer drops back to throw, and he's intercepted on the Hail Mary opportunity. Frisco Independence holds on, Frisco Independence
You had it. Don't
holds
doubt
on to win it
yourself.
35-31 over Little Elm. Valiant effort by the Lobos. Heartbreaking defeat. Probably knocks them out
Gosh.
of the postseason unless some things go their way.
Yeah, I think
got
they're
it.
done.
Maybe they're done. Kyle Yeoman says you're done. I'm saying maybe. But Independence,
They hold on.
big win for the Knights.
It is a big win for the Knights, and they continue to they get the win over Wakeland last week following the blowout loss to Lodestar. Then you turn around and get a close win on the road against Little Elm this week, which you're the better team if you're Independence. You go in there, you have weapons like Wafer, like McMillan, like Braxton that could turn things around and kind of help your season toward the back half after that Lone Star game's in the rearview mirror. If you're going to establish yourself as the second best team in that district, you need wins like this.
Certainly, and Braylon Braxton delivered. 4 total touchdowns for him, 3 on the air, 1 on the ground. He had about 250 total yards combined. And then you look at John Mateer, though. I think that's the guy that's really impressive. I know in a losing effort, but not a guy that
was
we've
very
talked about a lot at quarterback. But 256 yards tonight, 3 touchdowns. Of course, he did have that interception last play of the game. He had to throw it to the end zone. It got picked off. But John Mateer and Ryan Watts going out valiantly for the Lobos tonight.
Yeah, Lobos had nothing to hang their head about. I mean, they played like a desperate team. They knew they had to get this win in order to be playoff eligible. And the score is indicative of it. I mean, obviously, when you talk about the turnovers, the 2 before that last play. But look, man, look at Independence, man. They basically played a clean game, 1 penalty, 5 yards. That's it. So very disciplined team. They did what they needed to do, took care of business.
Yeah, and Mateer, just a sophomore quarterback at Little Elm as well. So he's got 3 more years
Should be
left.
excited there with the
Bright
Lobos.
future.
And if he's able to impress against a defense like that, then you've got something to work toward moving forward. Braylon Braxton, on the other hand, also was a sophomore last year. You kind of saw that same sort of
Balling.
the same sort of swagger with Braylon Braxton last year. He is able to get it done for Independence tonight. Okay, so let's go to Keller Central and South Lake Carroll at the District 5 6A level. Both teams combining for a total of 1 loss here in 2019. South Lake Carroll, definitely more impressive, though. 35-7 the score, 417 total yards for the Dragons. And despite 2 turnovers, they control this one really from the get-go.
Yeah, well, they were down 7-0 early on in the game. They tied in the first quarter 7-7, and then they go on to just pretty much tear them up. And it was on the ground. Not so much Quinn Ewers, who did have a touchdown pass to the tight end, Blake Smith, but it was the freshman running back, Owen Allen, who came into the game with 350 yards
Did you
and
say
7
freshman?
touchdowns.
Say that name again.
True
Say
freshman.
That name again.
Owen
Okay,
Allen.
they're all true freshmen in high school, so of course he's a true freshman.
Yeah, there's no red.
Good clarification there. I appreciate it.
But
Just
say
don't
that name
want-
again,
yeah.
baby. Say that name
Owen
again.
Allen, true freshman, running back, 213 yards, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 touchdowns, adding to his 7 that he had coming into the game. This is a good stable of backs with the freshman leading the way right now. And think about that if you're Southlake. Freshman running back,
God.
Sophomore quarterback, youth all over the place, feeling fantastic. And this wasn't their best outing, a little bit sloppy, had a couple of turnovers, but it was homecoming out there at Dragon Stadium, so you know the environment was fantastic.
The mums were out.
The mums were out, no question about it. And that defense, that Southlake defense, they came out of the gates. They got scored on early on in that game, and then they shut that Central offense down. We know Central, they struggled to throw the football. That was the case tonight, and Southlake gets the job done. And they really did it mostly on the ground. The sophomore Ewers are at 18 touchdowns coming into the game. Only had to do but so much damage because the running game was so good. Only one touchdown, 194 yards, 14 of 20 passing for the sophomore quarterback, Quinn Ewers. So it was all about the freshman tonight, Mr. Owen Allen, over 213 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. Owen John Monero, who we knew coming in was a stud, 5 catches, 90 yards.
How about Blake Smith?
Yeah, the tight end.
It's not Denton Geyer, and he's able to score a touchdown, 5 catches, 62 yards, and a touch for Blake Smith.
Hats off to the big man.
He said he could do it. He can't do it against nobody but Geyer.
But he's doing it tonight, and we knew Keller Central, more of a one-dimensional offense. They're not a team that's really going to test you vertically, but they want to run the football and play good defense. Southlake Carroll's offense is too strong, but defensively,
that's where it's at.
Carroll holding Central to just 64 yards total rushing. They sold out to stop the run. They did what they had to do, and they completely evaporated Central's chance to win this football game.
My man Andrew Paul from the Chargers, I mean, he's been doing it for them, for Keller Central on the ground, and they just talk about the job that you just said that Southlake did, and I think that's outstanding. And so that's something that's gonna carry them deep into the playoffs because they can stop.
You're coming around.
Watch out, duffel bag boys.
Oh, I'm coming around to what? Coming around what?
Duffel bag boys.
Oh, no, I was just pointing out obvious stuff that's on the stat sheet against the Keller Central.
Oh, you don't think they'll be able to stop the run
against Keller Central?
Keller Central is 6-1 going into this.
No.
Yeah, don't hate on the Chargers. They're only -1 point differential coming in. Give me a break.
Did you just pull out point differential on me?
Unbelievable season.
That just trumped my whole argument right there. Thank you. He hit me with the point differential.
It's done.
That's so smart. Let's go.
Luka Doncic had a triple-double tonight.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, my God, bro.
It's better than Russell Westbrook. All right, moving forward.
Yes,
I'll give you a stat line. You were talking about stat lines a moment ago. I'll give you one. How about this? 6 receptions, $155. That's 25.8 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns.
Woo! That's whoever stat sheet look like that is fire.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever.
I got a wild guess.
Whoever. Wait. Don't tell me. Wait. Whoever. Give me that number one more time.
Yeah. 6 receptions and $155.
Jesus!
How many touchdowns?
3.
Three
touchdowns. 3 touchdowns.
Oh my God!
That's even better.
Did he make a sandwich on his way to the end zone?
Goodness gracious!
That's even better.
Who you talking about, Randy Moss?
Predicted.
Is that Randy Moss you talking about? Who did that?
Amari Cooper. Your cousin Evan Green.
Oh, that's family. That's family.
Friday night in dominant fashion.
Pouring it on.
And it's actually 44-19 if we can get that corrected.
Wait a minute.
44-19 the final
Wait
score.
a minute.
MVP.
Wait a minute.
Give it to Green.
There we go.
Wait a minute.
Thanks, Chris.
Wait a minute.
God.
Eric, you know what, guys? Heck, man, you take it away, bro.
I get it how I live.
The camera's not on
Wait
you.
a minute.
We've got to talk about this game, guys.
I live it how I get it.
Hey, man, this is awesome. Well, this is awesome. Man, give me that stat one more time, dog.
6 receptions, 155 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Evan Green as your cousin. Mm-hmm. You balled out tonight, boy.
Yep.
You balled out tonight. That's on the family. You did that for
Well, can we give a little bit of
It's
love?
gonna be a good weekend in the Green household.
Maybe I'll
ball.
give this to you.
That boy ball tonight, boy.
Can we give love to that Parrish
tonight.
defense, though? 79 total yards.
Walchuk is breaking the chain, dude.
I did the same thing that Heckman did earlier.
Golly, you guys are trying to put it over your head like it's a sweatband.
I know I can't put it over my head.
I'm never going to try again. Our heads are too big. Should we return this?
No, it's okay.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to get our money back.
Come on, man. Give me my chain, man.
It's okay,
chain, brother.
That's
No,
your chain.
but the Episcopal defense, like you were
Unreal.
saying, Kyle, fantastic. Hats off to them. Everybody, the love always is given to the offense, to guys like Green, to guys like Preston Stone. But that defense, allowing less than 2 touchdowns per game.
Evan
Green, MVP
I think
of the
we've
night.
given a lot of love to Parrish's defense.
No, we have. But
fairness.
in general. But,
Okay,
but
you're right.
No,
How
but
about
in
this?
general, outside of us, the love always goes
right.
to the
Preston
quarterbacks
Stone,
and,
yeah,
and
100%.
high flying.
How about this, though? And I don't know if this is completely correct, and maybe it is, maybe it's not, but if it is, oh my goodness. Prestonwood had 45 rushing attempts in the ball game. You know how many yards they had?
45.
0. I don't know if that's a typo.
It's got to be a typo.
I don't know if that's the case.
Sounds like stifling defense
Yeah,
to me.
that sounds
If that's the case, that's unheard of.
We might
So
need to get Joseph Hoyt on the.
maybe so. We
Joe,
might have to
what's going
ask.
on?
You know what's also more impressive than Evan Green is Preston Stone rushing for 138 yards. I mean,
Yeah, he was the
237
leading
yards,
rusher as well.
237 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. I mean, man, Preston Stone is putting on a show.
Baller. We get one more year of that kid, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Oh, what a time.
Yes, we do.
What a
That is-
good time.
That is amazing. And look, we talked about this game and saying, the ramifications of this game going through the playoff state. However you want to look at it, just looks like to me that Parish Episcopal, man, this is a team that from the beginning of the season getting the victory versus the Deons. I keep calling them
TC Cedar Hill.
TCC Cedar Hill.
TCC, yeah.
In that ESPN game, I think that was the game that kind of set the tone for the way that their season was going to go because they hadn't, in my opinion, faced a more athletic team than that. Now, and my guy Hamp Fay must be one heck of a guy, right?
He's a baller, man. It's a shame he got banged up this year. That dude.
He must be one heck of a guy because it is just saying that when I look at everything the Parish Episcopal has done up until this point, I mean, they're having a pretty good season.
They are absolutely having a solid season. We're going to have Nick Laupius on the phone later to talk about that one, so we'll clarify whether or not that was a typo or not. And just kind of talking about how good Parrish was in that football game. Let's move on to Jesuit at Plano, not at Plano.
Here we go, Wildcats.
Hold on.
Here we go.
Let's get ready.
Here we go, Wildcats. Here we go.
And how'd it go for your Plano Wildcats, Zach Wolchuk?
They came up just short, fellas.
Oh, that good, huh?
Yeah, it's upsetting. Really, what was the turning point in this game? Plano, who was down 14-0, they scored to make it 14-7 going into half. But then right before, in the fourth quarter, they give up a field goal. They're down 23-16. They get a quick touchdown to make it 26-20. 6-point football game. Jesuit goes right down the field. They can't get a stop. Long drive. They score to make it 34-20. Plano answers again to make it 34-26. But the bottom line is Plano's defense just couldn't quite get the stop in the second half when they needed it. They continued to answer Jesuit scores, but they just weren't able to get that one stop. They also had a safety in this game. Unfortunate, of course, E.J. Smith, outstanding. I mean, we know what E.J. Smith can do, what he brings to the table. And this one, 18 carries, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns for E.J. Smith. So big game for Jesuit, a game both these teams really needed to have, evenly matched. Fun game, went down to the wire, but E.J. Smith, the best player on the field in this one, and he balled out. Oliver Towns, 3 total touchdowns, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground. Tylen Hines, 2 catches, 81 yards for him, along with 28 yards on the ground. Jesuit did a really nice job of limiting Plano's ground game. Tylen Hines in this one, after last week, he had 261 rushing yards, only 28 yards rushing. Cody Christ only had 13 yards rushing. So Oliver Towns, your quarterback, your leading rusher in this one. Jesuit, got to give them a lot of credit. They took away that Plano running game. They still were able to have some effectiveness through the air, but bottom line is Plano's defense that had actually played really well for the most part entering play tonight just didn't have an answer for E.J. Smith. Rance Holman, very ineffective through the air, only 62 yards and an interception. But Jesuit just gashed Plano on the ground. 176 yards for Jake Taylor, 132 yards for E.J. Smith, and those 3 scores. Unfortunately, Plano not able to overcome that. But big win for Jesuit, and that, I think, puts them, of course, solidifies them. They're in sole possession now of that second spot because they've got the head-to-head tiebreaker now over Prosper and Plano. So
That's
big win for the Rangers.
Wildcats got a playoff opportunity.
Plano's sitting there right now, probably in the fourth spot. I think Prosper's in the third spot. They're tied right now for the third spot. They'll play in the final week of the season.
Nice.
That's big.
But by that point, it should be kind of
By that point, I would think maybe all four teams have that playoff spot wrapped up.
yeah.
So that game could just be for that third seed.
That's a good point, which plays a factor.
Certainly.
It absolutely does. By the way, that Prosper team up right now, or actually that's a final 42-16 over
They beat Plano West. So
Yeah,
Plano West again winless. They're looking at 3 straight winless
Did you really
seasons.
expect them to take down Prosper?
Not
today,
Prosper,
though?
but I really thought that maybe they'd get 1 win this year.
I thought so too.
And I don't think
doesn't look like it's happening.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Not looking good.
A couple other scores on our way to getting down to the bottom of the sheet. Rowlett is currently up on Garland, 26-24. Close football game in that one. Going to West Mesquite and Mesquite Poteet. Of course, we talked about Seth McGowan. He's probably the biggest story and best player on both sides of this one. But how about West Mesquite, boys? That's a surprising score.
Unbelievable.
1-6 entering the night, and Mesquite Poteet down big in the fourth quarter of that one.
Yeah, very surprising. Mesquite Poteet had been playing great in their last 4 games since they got McGowan back in that backfield. They've been dominant, scoring 40-plus points a game. Not tonight, only 17. Credit to the West Mesquite defense. They've forced 3 turnovers against Poteet, and Poteet's done a nice job running the ball. 160 yards on the ground, only 155 through the air, but it's the 3 interceptions that are absolutely killing them right now from quarterback Jalen Police, who we talked about coming into the game, the junior who seems like he's unseated Stephen Fink at the quarterback position. He is only a junior. He's a little bit young. They moved him from receiver. He's a nice dual threat guy. He runs the ball pretty well. He had 60 yards on the ground tonight. 155 yards through the air is not going to really wow you, but it doesn't hurt you. It's those 3 interceptions that are killing him right now, and that puts your defense in a tough spot. And West Mesquite's got enough offensively with guys like Ty Jordan, who tonight is, let's see how Ty Jordan's doing, because he's been Mr. Everything for them. Only 25 yards on the ground and no yards through the air. So that's actually pretty surprising. West Mesquite, their number 1 offensive guy on the ground and through the air, really has been shut down. Credit to the Poteet defense. But still, West Mesquite finding a way to score points, and a lot of it has to do with that defense forcing those turnovers.
And there's no Seth McGowan in the stat line for Poteet.
And that is problematic right there.
This is how they've looked without him in the lineup.
That explains a lot.
It's a completely different football team without Seth McGowan on the field.
That's unfortunate.
Similar to when you remove E.J. Smith from Jesuit.
That's very fair. It takes a whole aspect out of your offense, because not only does it hurt your running game, it hurts everything else. Because it opens up everything whenever he's in the
And then a junior quarterback in Jaden Police feels like he shoulders most of the burden, so he starts making plays and making decisions that he doesn't need to make because he feels like he's got to be the hero. Next thing you know, he's got 3 interceptions, no touchdowns.
And not only the 3 interceptions, but he went 11 for 33.
Very inefficient.
It's not a good stat line for Police tonight. Sherman gets a big win over Wiley East, 42-14. And then going down to this one, and this has turned into a game itself. How about Dallas Carter and Wilmer Hutchins all knotted up at 13 apiece in a good old sloppy defensive weather struggle? 13-13 in that one. That has been an interesting football game, and it's been defensive throughout that one.
Yeah, as you expected. 5 minutes and 56 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Like you said, very sloppy game. Right now, both teams well under their average on offense. Kyle Douglas Jr., as you said, would be one of the better players on the field. Not so much tonight. He only has.
He's got a touchdown. He's been bottled up.
He's got a touch, 75 yards passing. But again, it's a messy. Look, it's raining upside. How do you say it? Upside down, sideways. However you want to do it, and it's pretty cold out there. So not the kind of weather for Kyle Douglas Jr. to be productive in. Carter is just sticking to what they do best, and that's run the ball control, things like that, and put their defense out there. But this is interesting. 13-13 with no clear offense taking the helm to be, you can say one is better than the other, just can't really. And so this is anybody's game with 5 minutes left in it.
Well, this is a real slugfest.
It was 7-6 for a long time, and then Wilmer Hutchins went up 13 to 7, and then Carter able to answer as we go to the tag board here. This is Carter up the middle answering in the all-white unis and then just throwing people
That's
off.
Jamarian Jones, brother.
Yes, it is. That's a big
Beast
boy.
mode.
And he went beast mode, 13 all in that one.
That's how I be
And-
beating you, Heckman and Madden.
Oh,
Shots
little
fired.
shot fired there.
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
Hopefully
guys.
he's watching.
He is.
But it is a ball game at the Hutch, and we see Uncle Fraz, Mr. Guy Frazier, out there, and we'll definitely touch base with him here in the coming moments or the last 5 minutes of that one.
Hey, de facto district championship game.
It
pretty
really
much.
is.
Basically, yeah.
It really is.
I
And
mean,
that's
I
one
know
of the
you got
reasons why.
Alvarado in there.
Yeah.
But these two teams are slugging it out.
We've got an 80 burger put up on the scoreboard, and
Who
it's
got
not
it?
Highland Park. It's Red Oak over Conrad, 84-0. And then on the other side,
Yeah, right on.
other side of the spectrum, Corsicana takes down 47-0. So a different type of score in that one.
Pilot Point up 24-0 right now over Paradise. Pilot Point a chance to win their first ever district championship tonight. So,
wow.
Shout out to Pilot Point, assuming that score holds with under 8 to play.
That's
Pretty cool.
actually,
Pretty cool for
that
Pilot
actually
Point.
is really cool. Moving on, looking at some of the scores, we talked about Mansfield Timberview and Lancaster as one of the pick'em games. I was the only one that picked Mansfield Timberview, and I'm looking pretty dumb for that.
You weren't to start the game.
10. What was that?
You weren't to start the game.
Yeah, what if somebody got
Yeah,
hurt?
they were 0-0 at one point. It was a tie ball game. Everybody was feeling good about themselves.
You hear him slip out of it? I wonder if somebody got hurt.
You look brilliant at that point.
The
I
entire
was a
offense
genius.
did.
Somebody must be hurt. Who's their Seth McGowan? Why isn't he in?
Why is he not playing?
What in the blasphemy is going? Where's Hullaby?
Go for it, Eric. I'm sorry.
No, nothing. I was just saying that
Where's
it
Hullaby?
was a tight ball game early on in the game, like Walchuk said, when it was tied 0-0. I'm not really sure how much closer it got after that, but I feel good about my Lancaster pick. I can tell you that much.
Glenn Rice Jr. went off in this game, 151 yards.
Led 7-0. That's why I said that.
At some point, Jalen Hullaby is done a really good job for the Wolves tonight.
been solid.
Been solid, but not enough to get them the victory. DQ James for the Tigers. He went off.
DQ.
I love me some DQ, man. Little
That's
Blizzard.
what I like about tag. Oh, we can't say that. We can't
What
say
are
that.
you
We're
doing?
Whataburger.
What are you
Yeah.
doing?
We can't say that. We can't do that.
Really?
I'd
What
rather.
are you
I
doing?
What did you just
That's
do?
said
awful.
DQ.
What did you
I
just
said,
do?
Why would
I
you
said
say
a young
Dairy
man's
Queen on
name.
this show?
I said a young man's name.
Anyway,
Yeah, his name's not Dairy Queen.
His name is DQ James.
My man. It went for 107
not
and a
Middle name's
touchdown.
Whataburger.
Throw your pen at me. You just fell right into that.
33-10. Like, look, guys.
His middle name's Honey Butter.
Oh!
That's a snag right there, baby. Offhand.
All right, let's get back to this. You're 100% right.
Thank you.
Stacey Sneed has absolutely been eliminated by this vaunted Lancaster defense. We talked about the two Division I corners that they've got and a big SEC body up front along that offensive line. Stacey Sneed held to under 40 yards rushing. If Timberview was going to win this game, Stacey Sneed was going to have to be a big-time factor because we know Jaden Hullaby isn't the greatest passer in the world. He's an athlete out there at the quarterback position. Lancaster's taken both of them out of this one, and the Tigers are rolling.
Wow.
Thanks, Coach Wolchuk.
Moving on. I mean,
What else we gotta say
What
about
else
this?
can be said?
I do want to
Nothing.
mention Mansfield Timberview has only one player, and it's Justin Kimber, who has a reception in the entire ballgame. No other receivers for Mansfield Timberview has caught a pass. He's caught 4 for 60, and that's it.
That's called shutting it down.
That's a
Go
testament to that defense for Lancaster.
You guys ready for next week?
Let's go home.
What's next week?
Highland.
Highland Park at Lancaster.
Oh, at Lancaster.
Now it's for a district title.
Wow, that's a good point. That's
That's going to be a game.
It'll be fun.
next
It was a
week.
good game last year at HP. Now Lancaster gets them at home.
Yep.
Let's check in on Highland Park. See how they're doing. 79-0 final score. They scored 7 points in the
They went
second
ahead
half.
and just
They ran that clock.
took a dive.
Yeah, they went out.
They
I'm
ran that
surprised.
clock.
I'm honestly surprised that they put up another score in that one after they were up 72-0 at halftime. Let's check in on Argyle and Melissa.
Yes, please. How's this going? Argyle, Melissa.
Not good. 63-28. Argyle with
Yeah.
statements.
So
tonight.
Hogaboo.
Tito Bice?
Hey,
What did Tito do? Tito killing it?
Probably.
my man Lewis is ready to go to Colorado and play some college football.
Yeah, he's ready.
He's ready to get up out of
Get me
there.
away from Argyle.
Right from Argyle, because man, Hugaboom has got these. Hey, like I said last week, Hugaboom's got the offense twerking for the Eagles. He's doing it,
I
man.
missed that. Hey, and the defense, 4 turnovers.
Man.
And speaking of the defense, they've actually just scored another touchdown on a pick six.
Make it 5
So
turnovers.
they've put up 70 on them.
Melissa?
Yeah,
Wow.
and look, we talked. Melissa's the 10th ranked team in the state of Texas.
This ain't no slouch.
No, this team is not bad. Brandon Lewis has run the football well. He's got almost 200 yards rushing and a
Right.
couple of touchdowns, but he hasn't been able to throw. That has been a very ball-hawking, opportunistic defense. Luke Ferris, a game that I actually left out of my preview for this game. He's the number 2 running back behind Tito Bice.
He's number 1 tonight.
31 carries, 199 yards, 4 touchdowns on the ground for Luke Ferris. He's been brilliant.
And I wonder if Tito Bice got banged up because only 13 yards on the ground, no scores. He's got nothing through the air. I mean,
That's
could be
not
a
Tito
situation.
Bice.
Yeah, that ain't Tito
only
Bice.
4 carries in a game like this. Yeah, I wonder the same thing. Cole Kirkpatrick's done his usual touchdown a game kind of deal, 4 catches, $132 and Bo.
Man, Argyle
Bo's
is
got 5 scores.
Argyle is for real.
Oh, they're a machine.
They're
Yeah.
unreal.
They're the only team out there. Maybe if they see him again in the state championship, Waco La Vega. I don't see anybody else that can. And Argyle's already gone.
La Vega can
They've
do
already
it.
gone and beaten them at La Vega, but La Vega's the only team that can compete with them.
Yeah, that might be even. It's a whole different level.
They're
is
the
what
reigning-
Argyle's done.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
agree with Heckma. This is one of those games where you look at it and you say, "Oh, that's not just an Argyle team. That's an angry Argyle team."
You're right.
Oh,
It's a good point by Heckma.
that's tough. And that's why,
Oh, good point by Egma.
that's why we gave him the chain.
That's why you
in
have the
first
chain.
show.
Why aren't you wearing it?
I'm sorry.
you broke it.
I was about to say, didn't
It's
you
not going to
break
fit
it?
over our heads.
Yeah, you broke it.
You broke it.
Quickly,
I
you
did
guys,
the same thing you did.
You guys could use it as a little wristband or something.
you guys remember that Darling Haltom Buffalo squad that
Yeah.
took down Trinity a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
They building on that victory?
No.
Is Michael Black back?
Quite the opposite, actually. The Richland Runnin' Rebels, who are 2-5 on the year, are taking down Haltom 21-10.
That is how did Halton beat Euless Trinity?
Bro. It was one of those games.
I mean, it wasn't a game where we had weather or anything like that.
Nope.
How did that happen? I mean,
It feels like they got their number. They beat them last year. I know they were a better team last year, Haltom was, but yeah, I don't know the familiarity. I don't get it because they struggling tonight.
because man, Euless Trinity has rolled everybody
Oh my goodness.
to this point, but not Halton.
Yeah, and we've got one more game, and I think I know what game you're saying.
What do you owe my goodness
What
right
happened?
now?
We'll get to it here in a minute.
Oh, come
Let's go to-
on.
it's the Actually, let's
it's the
go
Mountain
anyways.
Showdown. I'll tease it.
Oh, yes.
Don't do
It's
that to
getting
me.
Let's go to the
crazy.
mound. Let's go to the mound. Let's go to the
You
mound.
want to go to the mound?
Yes.
I say we go to the mound.
Let's go to the mound. We'll
'Cause,
put Richardson and J.J. Pierce and Lake Highlands on pause because
we're in a pause. We love you. We're going to come back to
Yeah,
you.
we are bound for the mound.
But the mound is taking the showdown to another level. It's coming down to the final minute, and the Marauders have gone ahead and punched in a 1-yard touchdown from Tyler Gainey. They got Bradford back, or their man Tyson Edwards, thinking about Trey Bradford at Lancaster. But it was Tyler Gainey with the 1-yard touchdown. That has put Flower Mound Marcus ahead by 3, 34-31.
and that was their first score, Marcus's, since they led 27-7 with 10 minutes left in the third quarter. Flower Mound rattled off 4 straight scores, a field goal and then 3 touchdowns to take a 31-27 lead over Marcus, and now Marcus takes a 34-31 lead. Wow. What a
an
football
unbelievable
game.
football game.
Back and forth. Marcus looks like the team to beat, and then all of a sudden, Flower Mound storms back. And it's not over yet. Still 54 seconds left up on the clock, and Flower Mound will have the football at home with their crowd behind them.
And they just need to get in field goal range to
That's all
attempt to
they
tie
need.
the game.
Yeah, and you can tell just by looking at the box score, Marcus is the better football team. Way more first downs, way more yards through the air, really dominating the football game. It's the 3 turnovers right now that is keeping Flower Mound in it. but it looks like Marcus has been able to overcome it, at least for the time being. Now down to 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter with the Jaguars moving down the field. So, yeah, like you said, only a field goal needed to force overtime, but let's not act like the conditions won't be a factor. I would anticipate it's probably pretty windy out there, might be a little bit wet out there, not the ideal kicking conditions, but it does look like Flower Mound has kicked a field goal already in this game at least once. Not sure how far it was. I will see here. Yeah, 21-yard field goal that they made early on in the game.
So a short field goal, and for Blake Short, he really hasn't had a lot of success through the air, only 118 yards. Their leading receiver is Pierce Hudgens, who's their top back, and he's had a great game on the ground with 139 yards, but they have not been able to hit their plethora of receivers led by Carson Winters. They're going to need to chuck it up and hope they can get some big plays down the field. I don't know their timeout situation. I don't know if you can just count on handing it off to Pierce Hudgens, but Flower Mound has been very stingy in their secondary so far here today. And that also might have something to do with the weather in terms of Blake Short's inability to throw the football. But you look on the other side of things, that hasn't affected Garrett Nussmeier.
Right, of
Garrett
course.
Nussmeier, although we do know that Flower Mound's defense is suspect. Marcus, that's kind of been a strength for them coming in. So when you were kind of comparing and contrasting, the matchups here, you knew that the better defense was clearly going to be the Marauders. But, yeah, it's just not been a good game for Blake Short.
Flower Mound has 0 timeouts.
Okay, so they're in some trouble.
0 timeouts left in that one. I'm texting back and forth with Lincoln Reville. We're trying to get highlights from that game, but there are so many people at the game that there's bad reception at the Battle of the Mound. And I know this is going to look really unprofessional, but if we can get the close up on my phone, that's the sideline. You can see the sideline during that touchdown. That's how packed it is, and that's just one of the end zones at the Battle of the Mound.
It's for real.
It's all the way across.
It's for real.
And this is a high school football game.
Oh yeah.
And this game's living up to the hype too. I mean, I said this was probably my most anticipated matchup of the night. And it looked like
because Walchuk's got off the field implications
it
here.
looked like
his lady is a Jaguar.
These two teams are both really good. I think that they both got outstanding quarterback play and good players to point out here. But it looked like Flower Mound was going to Marcus was going to run away with the football game. And now here we are, Flower Mound doing everything they can to try and just get in position.
10 seconds left. Blake Short pass to Parker Clark for 8 yards to the Flower Mound Marcus 20-yard line.
Jesus Christ.
They're going to have
Field
a
goal
shot.
range.
Yeah, they're going to have a shot.
Hey, I'm down for 11 overtimes.
Where's Caden Davis when you need him?
Oh, my God.
Can we call it Caden?
And kind of talking about the atmosphere of this living up to it, and Chris Beam just let us know that this game used to be played at Texas Stadium back in the day. Used to be played at Texas Stadium. So did the Marcus and Louisville game as well. But that's just crazy.
Both coaches in this contest. I mean, two impeccable Coach Chuck, Coach A, Coach Brazel. Great coaches, and they've coached these guys up. So, I mean, if you look at the stat sheet, as far as the mistakes that have been made, costly penalties, self-inflicted things, you're not seeing that from either of these teams. So it's a very clean game being played. This is going to be an awesome finish.
I think it's over.
Did the Jaguars throw a game winner?
I just looked at it, and I believe it has gone final.
I think it has as well. I think 34-31 is going to be the final.
Marcus gets the victory.
I think it was a sack to end the game for Marcus.
Oh,
No
my
way.
gosh. Oh. And they were already in field goal range? That's at least the way it felt?
It seemed
Oh,
that...
man.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
it was
hard.
too
That's
long.
a classic.
It was too long of a field goal, so they went ahead and they tried to throw. And
Oh, my God.
Let's take a look.
We're gonna
Just
hold on a
one
second.
We're taking 1 second.
we're going to make sure
We're
it's
waiting.
absolutely prime and pristine. And now we've got it.
How about this? The game-winning sack for Flower Mound Marcus going back up the middle.
That is so.
Oh, man.
You've got to get the ball out of your hands in that situation.
That's
You've got to get the
tough.
ball out of your hands in that situation.
Jeez. The one play you can't take right there is the sack. That's the one play you can't
rough.
take.
34-31, the final score in that one. Chris Beam losing his mind in the back of the room just because of how crazy
Unbelievable that
one
play
ended.
was. What a play.
Just a crazy play overall.
I don't think I've ever heard Chris get so fired up over a game ender.
Yeah, that was incredible.
I mean, I thought Peyton Beam was on the field.
I know, like Peyton. It's Taylor. Jeez.
It's not Peyton Bean.
It's Taylor.
Not his name.
I was going to correct you in the pregame.
Darn
but
it,
I
Eric.
didn't. I'm sorry.
What a game, though.
It's Taylor Beam, dude. Get it right.
34-31.
Read a book for once.
Flower Mound Marcus comes out on top. Oh man,
That's a great game.
No, that's a great game. That's an outstanding.
That's a great game.
we're gonna shift gears here just a little bit. We've got a couple calls lined up. And this is not Joe Willis yet. We're going to get Joe Willis in a minute. But we do have Nick Laupius on the phone, who was on the call for Parish Episcopal and Prestonwood Christian in what was just an unbelievable win for the Panthers of Parish. And Nick, first off, thanks again for joining us. And glad to talk to you again, buddy. And how good did Parish look tonight against Prestonwood?
Yeah, hey, guys. Good to talk to you again. Yeah, it's really the same thing we've seen all season. Jackson and I were talking about this at the end of the game. It's about a month ago, we talked about how daunting their schedule looked for the next month. I believe their next 5 games were against top 10 teams in the TAPS rankings.
Wow.
And they've really handled every single one with ease. The closest game was a 30-point margin of victory for Parish. And, yeah, tonight the defense looked great. And then one of the big things that's kind of kept Parish, kept these games a little closer is their offense usually gets off to a slow start in the first. But on their first 2 possessions, they scored rather quickly. And Preston Stone had 5 touchdowns through the air. Christian Benson with a rushing touchdown. Evan Green, as a grandson of Mean Joe Green, had 3 touchdown receptions tonight. So it was really just all 3 phases of the game. Yeah, they just looked dominant. Even with those bad conditions out there, is really slick and really windy conditions, but that really didn't slow them down at all.
You missed a very important family member of Evan Green, by the way, Nick. Mr. Heckma Harrison.
Did I? Oh, yeah, of course.
Come on, Nick. Come on, man. Wake up, Nick. If you was here in the studio, you'd be moving real fast. And right now, you act like you don't understand what's going on, Nick Laupius. Why don't you throw the credit where the credit is? Hey, Heckman, your cousin did good. And Nick, come on. If you hit me with that, I'd have been like, hey, what's up, Nick? How you doing?
He was waiting for it,
I was waiting on it, Nick. You're supposed to lob that to me, dog. Come on.
I don't know how I forgot the more notable one. That's completely on me.
Yeah, how could you?
Oh, man.
I'm just glad I'm not sitting next to you again, because I know if I was right there next to you, I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't get out of that door soon enough.
No, it's all good,
Nick, we've talked a lot about, Evan Green's been outstanding. Heckma's given him a lot of praise throughout the year, and rightly so. He's been brilliant. He was brilliant again tonight.
Yeah.
Preston Stone, we've talked very highly of, and he had a great game tonight. Someone else, maybe, if you want to ask him about his legs, I thought he had an excellent job, did an excellent job running the football. But I want to ask you about Parish defensively. We've noticed this year that they've taken really that next step on the defensive side of the football. They really did an excellent job tonight when it came to their secondary, holding Jacob Switzer, who we know isn't the world's greatest passer, but making sure that PCA couldn't beat him through the air. What stands out to you about this Parish defense?
Well, so tonight was kind of unique. We had to share a press box with the coordinators, which was interesting, but something I've talked about this defense all year is they tend to give up long drives, but it's always been a bend, don't break defense, and that's what their coordinator said. That's really what they're designed to do. Really starts up in their front 3 are just monsters at getting toward the quarterback. Big ones to look out for. Blake Burris, number 99. He's listed at 6'4". There's no way he's only 6'4". He towers over everyone out there. Jose Munoz, another defensive lineman, and then really the whole secondary, the linebacker core really stepped up tonight. Kenneth Borders, number 6, and then Colby Blatnick were all over the ball tonight, and they laid some huge hits. And it really starts, again, with that front 3. They get some pressure, and then the linebackers were able to go in. And PCA, they really couldn't pass the ball because of the conditions, and they had a little bit of success running. But for the majority of the game, it was those linebackers that really got in and stopped them behind the line of scrimmage.
What a game overall for Parish, and just an unbelievable win, an impressive win over Prestonwood tonight. Nick, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again soon, man.
All Thank you so much. I'm so upset I missed that Flower Mound game. That sounds like fun.
It was a
an
fun
excellent
one.
game.
That was incredible. You should have been there, Nick. We had a blast, brother.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna watch the stream, and I'm gonna watch that specific highlight there.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later, and that'll be fun. Nick
Y'all have a
Laupius.
good night.
Nick Laupius joining us here on Friday Night Stars. Let's quickly go across the way to the Ford Center, and
Dr. Killjoy over here.
this has been an interesting football game.
Can they do it?
Dr. Killjoy.
First win in how many years? 2017 is
Come
what,
on,
what is the last
I
time
thought
they
you were about to say 27 years.
No,
I'm like,
not 27
wow.
years. No,
It's been a while.
There's a lot on the line tonight, boys.
More than just a lot. Brothers, children, sisters, cousins.
Yeah. It's generational, the losing. So this would be a nice flip of the script here for Liberty.
I don't think Liberty's high
They're
school
not
is
that old of a high
Yeah.
school now.
No. Well, they've lost for 27 straight years, so. Just saying.
That's not true. So looking at it here, 1st and 13, they have to find a way to get into the end zone.
He had a
to
receiver
win.
too. He had a receiver going right to the corner, and he just didn't
See him. It looked like, and so looking in at the Ford Center across the way, Liberty in the white with the black pants and the pretty slick looking domes as well, red and black, and then you've got the Heritage High Coyotes on the other side.
One thing about all these Frisco schools is they've got some pretty outstanding uniforms.
True that.
All of them are pretty clean.
True that.
They look pretty impressive. How about this? Avoiding some pressure, stepping up in the pocket, looking
go block
for a
someone.
blocker.
Oh, my God.
Nothing going, and with
They do have
22
that one
seconds
timeout.
left, that's important, and I think they just
they gonna
used
call
it.
it?
So it looks like Liberty struggling here.
Now, Liberty has to go for the victory.
you
You don't go for the field goal. You don't take it to
man.
overtime.
I mean, if you hadn't won in that, you got to get a victory for your kids. There's nothing moral about. You got to get a victory.
I know those two plays look pretty ugly. I might kick the field goal and go to overtime and try and
that's
get
true.
the victory there.
No, man.
Reset going into heading into overtime potentially.
Depends on what happens here on 3rd and 10. Obviously, the clock not on your side. You've got no timeouts. You've got to play toward either throw the ball out of bounds or get out of bounds.
And I think that's an interesting wrinkle to it. I think most of the time, looking at the game in a vacuum, that's probably what you would do. However, like Heckma said, when you haven't won since 2017, you might try and go for the field goal. There's the pink out for the student
So,
section.
Eric, why don't you do that with the tutu and the cowboy hat?
I was just thinking about it. I'm like, why have I
show
not
up
done
today
that?
like that?
Why have I not done that
You have
yet?
it Whataburger instead of pink. It's like orange
soon.
and white.
Halloween is coming soon, boys.
That's true.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll bust it out.
This is a big play for them, man. They're gonna take a shot at the end zone right
Yeah.
here. That's it.
3rd and 10.
This
Yeah,
is
they've
it.
got to. They've got to throw it in the end zone. No
And
question.
it says 3rd and 10, but it's actually 3rd and goal.
Has to
That
be.
graphic at the bottom is
Unless there was a could have been.
incorrect. Because, well, there's no sticks on the far
Well,
side,
it's
so
just
it's definitely
semantics.
3rd and goal.
And we're delayed.
How about this? Stepping up, far side.
Oh,
He might score.
He's going to crib that.
my goodness.
Lordy. He was stepped out of bounds.
Oh, yeah, he did. Wow, what a play. What a play to end the game. And Frisco Liberty
Heartbreaker.
once again.
Oh, man, that's a stinger.
That's sad. I'll
had
tell
a
you what, remember that
leeway.
2-point conversion that I said was going to be the difference in the game? Well, if they were only down 2 instead of 3 in this point, they could have kicked the field
Played
goal
it
to win
safe
the
and
game.
kicked a field goal. That's a very good point.
I mean, what are you looking
That's
at
a
on that
very
play?
good
Can we
point.
get a rewind? What
Well,
is he looking
All
at?
three of those plays were pretty ugly.
Pretty bad.
We're going to step away from this
horrible.
one, unfortunately, for Frisco Liberty as it comes to a close. But we've got an important individual on the phone line at the moment. Head coach of the Colleyville Heritage Panthers, Mr. Joe Willis. And Joe, thanks so much for joining us. And Coach, an incredible win tonight for your squad in a rivalry matchup, a sloppy weather overall, a little bit chilly. That football weather is back. But how fun was tonight in getting a win over Grapevine?
Well, I appreciate it, guys. It was a great ball game tonight. Close ball game through halftime, and then second half we were able to separate a little bit. Weather was good, though. It's football weather. Fall really wasn't much of a fall. We had summer for about 3 or 4 games, and all those hot games have gone now, and it feels like football season.
Finally, it took long enough for that cold weather to kind of come through.
Coach, you guys dominated that second half, like you mentioned. Anything you did at halftime, any adjustments that you felt good about, or was it just the guys executing the way you want them to?
Well, it's always about execution, regardless of what your plan is. Our coaches, especially on the defensive side, did a good job halftime and talking about some of the things that they were doing offensively that took us out of a few calls that we had going into the game. So we played pretty conservative. We played good defense in the first half. We gave up a long score on a pass, which ended up being a bust, and it was a miscommunication. But we got all that solved at halftime, and our kids played great defense, I thought, the whole game, but especially in the half.
Well, Coach Zach Wolchuk with you. I want to kind of piggyback off of that with the defense. Congratulations on the win, but it really seems like your defense, since you've gotten into district play, has really been playing well and growing as the season's gone along. What has stood out to you in recent weeks about your defense?
Well, I think our front seven is really the strength of our defense. Our front three is probably as good a front three as I've ever had, ever been around. And those guys really were dominant tonight. And then our linebacker core has really come on and played well. And, Braden Gerlich moved from corner last year, and he's now playing nickel linebacker. And I'm telling you, every time I look up, I keep telling those coaches, it's a really good group. I've been around, 27 years, and I don't know that I've had a group this talented as far as speed, size, and physicality, especially up front. And our young secondary, we had a sophomore, Dylan McKinney, have a key interception tonight. Our young secondary is really starting to play good defense, too. So really excited about the possibilities. We ran the ball well tonight on offense, and when you run the ball and you put people out of their run and make them.
Just an impressive win overall.
What time of year it is.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, Coach Willis is Coach Willis. Hey, Coach Willis, Heckma Harrison here. How are you, sir? Hey, man, congratulations on winning the battle. Now, I know in years past, of all the times that I've been a part of this one, was the rivalry intact tonight? I know that it's kind of a down year for Grapevine. I'm sure you don't care about that. But was the rivalry intact tonight?
Oh, yeah, it always is. I mean, that's a game of record around here, So everybody's going to remember that one for a year. There's no question. Two good student sections, regardless of, the temperature and the weather and all that stuff tonight really, supported both teams. But, it was an electric atmosphere, and that's what you want. You want your kids to play in that kind of environment and a lot of emotion and energy and all that, all the good things that go along with football. And felt like a great football game.
Yeah, Isaac Chabet, your sophomore running back, man, he was a big part of this victory. 96 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Talk about his performance tonight.
Oh, I feel like he gets better every week. Just a sophomore too. I mean, we got a long future with him. He played a lot on the varsity last year, and moved him around a little bit on defense. But we've always known that he's really a running back and a receiver too. I mean, he does a great job in the receiving game. Had a big catch on a third down conversion. AJ threw a great ball over there to him, but he really snagged it. So he can do it all. I mean, he's one of those players that is really a true utility player. Can deploy and play receiver. Can also get in the backfield when we're a 2-back. So, I mean, all things being said, Isaac is going to do nothing but get better. He's already pretty dang good.
Coach Joe Willis joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Coach, thanks so much. Congratulations on a big win tonight.
You bet. Thank you all. Thank you for your coverage of high school football, too. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we always enjoy talking with Coach Willis. And another big win for Colleyville Heritage, a statement win over Grapevine tonight. Didn't just win the ball game in a rivalry setting, but they dominated from the get-go.
And they've looked outstanding. I mean, you take away the Denton Ryan game, and really they played Ryan pretty well compared to everyone else in this district up to this point. They've got a big game next week against Birdville. They're now 4-1 in district play. Birdville undefeated. If Colleyville Heritage is able to knock off Birdville next week, don't look now, but all of a sudden they're that second spot within the district standing. So big game next week for Colleyville Heritage. Obviously, you don't want to ask Coach Willis about that. Let him enjoy this one.
I'm going to pull a JP on him.
Let him enjoy this one. He deserves it. But they know what's coming up next week, and they had a nice tune-up, Austin Alexander and this Grapevine offense. I'm really impressed by Colleyville Heritage, though, and where they're at defensively. And as Coach Willis said, they're front seven. I mean, they're really playing well. We know they want to run the football, and A.J. Smith has been pretty good as well as a passer. Had a little bit of a lukewarm game here tonight, but I think that's going to be an outstanding matchup next week with Birdville, who also did win tonight, and Colleyville Heritage.
And that's a pick'em game next week, potentially.
Yeah, we can make it if you guys down for that.
Yeah.
All right. I think I might lean Colleyville Heritage.
Okay, we'll make it a pick'em
Coach
game.
Willis.
I might ride with Coach Willis in that one. Got a quick update for you guys as we go to the tag board yet again.
I know. I'm with you, Heck.
What is that?
Nothing. Keep going.
Okay. How about this? Overtime between Carter and Wilmer Hutchins. Tied at 13, overtime, and that's not a video, that's a picture. I know Heckma's like leaning over like it's ready to happen, but Hutch wins the toss and elects to be on defense first in overtime, and the battle between Carter and Wilmer Hutchins continues.
Wow. And those are some cold coaches right there, boy. You see that's cold. What I was looking at. Like, boy, that's cold coaches. That wind is whipping out there,
like,
boys.
Dang, we got to play more out here, man. Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun, and I've got one that might hurt Zach a little bit.
Who knows?
Plano, they lost again.
We already talked about Plano.
They lost.
They lost twice tonight.
Wanted to show you a picture just to show, and I think it's a video actually.
Is it
Go into the
Sabatini?
TAC board. No, it's.
Oh man!
They're all taking pictures after the game.
Ooh, victory
That's how you
picks.
do it.
That looks like victory.
And then they got the gold helmets out.
Why don't I see any Wildcats?
That's because
it's victory
Jesuit.
picks. Oh, is that
is that a 22?
EJ.
Is that Deuce?
Emmett's right there in the far left.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love that man.
Yeah, there's Emmett over there.
That's a goat and
Does that
baby
make it feel a
goat.
little better?
Nah, I mean anything with Emmett in it makes
How
me
about
feel
the
better.
black uniforms?
I love it.
Very sharp. The deuce.
I love it.
You think they're actually black, or I think they're navy,
they're
and the
black.
rain has darkened them.
I don't know. It looks
Yeah,
black.
they are navy. They are
Their
navy.
colors are navy.
They're
yeah.
navy.
Okay.
Good eye, Walter.
I know, but those gold helmets are sick.
They do.
They are sweet.
Jesuit has some pretty awesome uniforms.
Yeah, but that's a look after the
Because
game.
it was a hard-fought
Jesuit.
game. Big win for Jesuit. A game both those teams really wanted, and it came down to the wire. And E.J. Smith, he's getting some kind of award there, maybe the game ball, because he was the best player on the field. Plano had no answer for him.
Had no answer for. What was his stat line?
132 yards on the ground.
I know he had 3 touchdowns as well.
Wow, that's
Boss.
That's pretty impressive.
Need to give him this chain.
Maybe
Yeah,
give
he
him the
deserves
chain,
it.
and I believe Joshua Price got a chance to catch up with E.J. Smith.
So he's going to the Under Armour All-American.
What
game.
about
after that win.
Sabatini?
Oh, that's what it is. After the win, so it's not just not just victory picks. It's
And E.J. Smith's still one of the best
All-American game.
uncommitted recruits in the country.
He really is, and there's a lot of people that are looking at places like College Station and, of course, Florida just because of the connection. I mean, lots of places where he could end up and play some football.
And he's not going to Florida because his daddy is Emmitt Smith. He's going because he's real good.
No doubt. No, he's
absolutely.
They're not doing him any favors.
No, it's if he chooses them. I mean, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's got USC on his list. Obviously, his sister plays soccer at A&M, so there's the connection there. He can pretty much go where he wants.
Yeah, no doubt. We've actually got a chance to catch up with E.J. Smith after the big win.
Hello, I'm Joshua Price with Friday Night Stars, here with the newly minted Under Armour All-American E.J. Smith. And E.J., this has been a crazy season for you. You started out with an injury, and then when you got back, you started to lead this team back, and then just had efforts. Like last week, it was a little bit muted towards Allen, but this week you just exploded. Just tell me about first this game, and then what it means to be an All-American.
Really, I didn't really care this team. They always had it with them. Even when I was out, I was just an extra help to them. And, they always have my back and I have their back. It was a great experience to have opportunity to be able to celebrate what the Under Armour All-American game. It was a dream of mine, and, I accomplished it tonight.
Yeah. And your team was in danger of losing. Plano gets that TD, and then you answer right back. What's that? Tell me about the leadership you bring to this team a little bit.
It was the O-line. If they want to block like they had, that would never have happened. And also, my running back Jake Taylor, he carries the load also. He's my dog. We love each other. We push each other every day, and with that, that's what happens.
And you guys now are in second position. Obviously, Allen's in first, but you kind of, what's the key to solidifying the second position in this district?
You just gotta take each week at a time. Practice every day, practice hard. Continue to what we keep on doing. Really, we could have played better tonight, but I'm happy that we got the dub, and that's why we have room to improvement.
All right, thank you very much, EJ, and congratulations again. That must be such an honor. Thank you. Joshua Price, Friday Night Stars.
Thanks so much, Josh, and
wow.
well spoken.
What a likable
humble
kid,
individual,
man.
And he's right. I mean, Jake Taylor's been outstanding. Their offensive line, they got one of the best centers in the country. They're going to SMU. E.J. Smith, kudos to
Just
him.
deflecting all the praise, giving it to the O-line, the team. Jake Taylor carrying the load.
Kid's been taught well.
Very, very likable kid.
Yeah, it's not the first interview he's done.
No.
It won't be the last.
Kid's been taught well, but E.J. Smith is a weapon. I mean, I know he's being really, he's been humble right there, saying that I'm just a, help to my team. No, man, you are a big part of the success and the reason why they are what they are. I mean, going forward, looking at that number 2 spot and them beating Prosper, obviously not winning against Allen, this is a dangerous Jesuit team, probably the team that we thought we were going to have last year with the offensive linemen. But the offensive linemen that they had, but this year it's the defense that's carrying them. Rance Holman is also playing pretty solid, not, his best performance tonight in the rain. He also talked about Jake Taylor being his dog. Him and his dog are taking things over in the running back position. I just love this kid. I think that EJ, what he presents from a running back standpoint, also from a wide receiver standpoint, college coaches have got to be salivating looking at this kid, knowing what he can do. And it's not like some of these kids, we look at him and say, oh, this is an SEC kid or this is a Big 12 kid or whatever. EJ Smith can't be classified because of all of the talents that he has.
He's perfect for the new age style of football, especially when you look at the next level and everybody wanting to utilize their backs in terms of receivers. He kind of reminds me, and it's a little bit of in a reverse role, but of a David Johnson who's playing currently with the Arizona Cardinals. He's a guy that made that transition from wide receiver to running back. EJ plays a little bit of both right now at Jesuit. They line him up wide, and a lot of that is kudos to Jake Taylor being able to take some of that pressure off EJ Smith. But I just think he's the perfect kind of back right now for what specifically the NFL is trying to do, but also collegiately when it's all about spread. What kind of mismatches can we get you on a linebacker, on a safety? EJ Smith is going to win that battle 9 out of 10 times. He's an outstanding weapon to have on your team.
A fun win for Jesuit. Unfortunately for your Plano Wildcats, it kind of...
it's a bummer, but hey, they fought valiantly, good comeback win. They just couldn't get the run game going tonight, and ultimately their defense just couldn't stop E.J. Smith and Jake Taylor and company when they needed to.
But it's not over for Plano.
Not at all. I mean, they're in good playoff position right now. They've got to get a win next week. I think if they win next week, they're in good position heading into that finale against Prosper, and that game will be for most likely the 3rd spot behind Allen and Jesuit within the district standings. But a win next week, I think, solidifies Plano. At least they're getting into the postseason. And I know Guy Frazier did kind of his projections for playoff seeding. They're looking like they might have a bi-district matchup against Saxe, which would be a really good game with Saxe and Plano and those two styles intermingling with each other. So that'd be interesting. A Plano Wildcat team that hasn't won a playoff game in nearly a decade, this could be the year. Maybe they finally go ahead and break that streak and win a postseason game.
Do you think they would have an advantage against a team like Saxe?
I think they're a better football team than Saxe.
What?
Yeah, I would pick them to beat Saxe. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Don't say what.
It's very unbiased.
Saxe hasn't been they just beat Garland Lakeview Centennial by 3, and it took a prayer at the end of the game.
But you just, at the beginning of the season, Saxe wins the 10-6-8 hands down. This is the team that's going to do it all.
Change.
They're going to have it.
And 2 weeks later,
it did kind of go away from that. And we admitted
Absolutely.
that. He admitted that.
100%.
He admitted his mistake.
And then I gave that district over to you.
You a funny dude, man.
He's the best.
You got select memory, Heckman.
No, I don't. I got good memory.
Wind the clocks back.
I specifically remember, Saxe.
No, but that's all you chose to remember. The next
I heard
week, after Saxe started to drop a couple of games, and you're like, oh my gosh, this Saxe team isn't looking too good, I said, you were 100% right about that district.
Is that what you said?
It's wide open. Saxe doesn't seem like they're quite the team we thought they were. Now Saxe's playing a lot better football than they were at the beginning of the year, but I'd still favor Plano in that game.
Okay.
Call me biased, but I think they're a lot more versatile on offense. Saxe can't really throw the football. They're one-dimensional. All they can do is run it. Plano clearly has trouble stopping
Saxe's
the run.
better on defense.
Saxe is better on defense, but I think Plano can throw the football on them.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that'd be a fun game.
That is interesting.
Gosh,
that would be
fun as this debate.
This debate is great. And whenever we get this side of the table going, it's so fun.
It is. We just get to sit back, relax, and just enjoy the
wait
show.
for it to happen.
Yeah. No, it's very, very good.
Why don't you and I get into
tonight.
arguments like that?
I just think there's too much respect and camaraderie on this side of the table.
I mean, look, here's the thing. Chuck has the unalienable right to be as wrong as he needs to be on a daily basis. It's okay.
Well, that's the battle for the chain.
Wow.
I don't know what you have against Plano, but I think you're just being a jerk.
I love you.
I can tell.
Man.
I was talking to you.
I love you. Yes.
Oh, we've neglected this game way too much because we put it on pause a while back.
Which game was
We've
that?
not resumed
was
it.
that the Lake
It
Highlands
was
game?
J.J. Pierce and Lake Highlands.
Oh my God, that was an hour ago.
really
You promised to come back to this game.
We're coming back to
It was
it.
last week.
J.J. Pearson, Lake Highlands, and we're sorry, Mustang and fans and everybody involved with that one. But we're going back to it. And this was a closer football game to start off with. But at the same time, there's just been some good games around the area. You got to bounce around whenever you can. But Lake Highlands comes out on top in this one, 34-15, just 20 yards on the ground for J.J. Pierce tonight.
Yeah, the Lake Highlands defense, we knew they were a studly bunch coming in, and they proved that tonight, giving up only 3 points through 3 quarters. Pierce got a couple of garbage time touchdowns there at the end to make it a little bit closer of a game. But this was a dominant performance from Lake Highlands. And we said coming in, the quarterback, his name is Mitch Colson, the junior. He's obviously their leading passer. He's also their second leading rusher tonight, 128 yards on the ground, 2 scores. Tyson Washington, the running back, he came in with 73 yards and a touchdown. Not the biggest day in the world for him, but it was all about Mitch Colson on the ground. They didn't really have to do much through the air, Lake Highlands, because their defense did so well, holding Pierce to 20 yards on the ground, 170 yards through the air, but a lot of those came in the second half when the game was pretty much already in hand in favor of Lake Highlands. So nice win for them, nice home victory, and now they move to 5-3 and keep their playoff hopes and seeding right where they needed to be.
Right where they needed to be, and they were able to do so in good fashion. I mean, you just look at 20 yards versus 221 yards or 227 yards. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that rushing attack for Lake Highlands is real, and it really starts. I mean, we know about Tyson Washington. He's a really stud senior running back, but Mr. Mitch Colson out of that backfield at the quarterback spot, he does it on the read option plays. He also just tuck it and run on general passing plays if you don't have a guy spying him. So that is lethal. Ultimately, what's going to hurt Lake Highlands is as good as Mitch Colson is on the ground. Through the air, this offense doesn't really push the ball down the field too much.
No, not as much as you should. But big win for Lake Highlands. They're now 5-3 on the season, and it's a lot easier to be 5-3 than it is to be 4-4.
Correct.
No
yes,
doubt.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what these two teams were playing for tonight. Moving on to the District of Doom 7-6A, and we have not talked about this game even a lick in the overtime.
No, we need
but
to.
we need to, because it was statement from Cedar Hill. Holy cow. 39-0. The Longhorns. Wow.
They heard Heckma Harrison slander him for the last month. You know what?
I apologize.
No, you did. No, you did.
I said I was sorry.
Absolutely. But they took it to heart. They took it personal. And they have been putting it on teams for the last 4 weeks.
You poked the bear, Heckma, and they awoke.
Well, I tell you,
the Longhorn.
Cedars,
Yeah, you poked the horns.
And don't want to do that.
You didn't mess with the bull, you
Hey,
get the
man,
horns.
Cedar Hill basically invited the Warriors out back, and they put a whooping on them, 39-0, man. Caden Salter. My God, I mean,
ballin'.
He's everything from Quinn Bright, another kid is Quinn Bright's going to Texas Tech commit. Fast kid, man. Fast, number one. And it's just a baller out there. But this is the game that was controlled by Cedar Hill's defense. They did not allow Drake Logan to do anything tonight.
And Logan played.
Yeah, he did.
Okay,
he played
play.
tonight.
All right.
Had negative 13 yards rushing. I mean, they took all of that away. I think passing, they only allowed 52 yards passing. Well, no. They allowed 80 yards passing in this game.
They also had a defensive touchdown on a fumble recovery in the end zone and an 83-yard punt return for a touchdown. So really a dominant win in all 3 phases for Cedar Hill tonight.
What he said.
39-0.
Jeez.
Anybody expect that? I know this wasn't a pick'em game.
No, I had more respect for SGP. Yeah,
I did
had
too.
more respect for SGP.
I thought Cedar Hill would win, but I didn't think that they'd lose by 39 and get shut out.
Agreed.
Yeah, South Grand Prairie is a team that from the beginning of the season, they've been playing everybody tough. I didn't expect for them to come into this one and lay an egg. I mean, they barely lost to Summit.
But the health of Drake Logan absolutely matters, and he was on the field
It
tonight,
does.
no question. But if he was only a shell of himself, coming out there at 60, 70%, trying to step up for his teammates, you have to love that and appreciate that and admire that. But if he is only a shell of himself, then this offense goes way down, because we've seen SGP, they pack usually a good defense, relatively good running game, athleticism really on both sides of the ball, but it's the quarterback spot that they struggle at, and Logan's been a bright spot for them
Well,
this
he's
year.
their best runner.
He's their best runner, no question about it.
Tons of production without him.
But yeah, when he's banged up, this offense is just not the same.
So Cedar Hill plays DeSoto.
Last week of the year.
A Thursday night game, as always.
And that, right now Cedar Hill has sole possession of the district championship. Right now they're their first place. So if DeSoto wants to win that game, let's say everything holds, DeSoto gets SGP next week. Not going to be easy.
No.
But they're now angry.
Yep.
Let's say DeSoto beats SGP. They go into that game with Cedar Hill. All things are the same. DeSoto's just got that one loss. If they beat Cedar Hill, then you're looking at a possible three-way tie if Summit wins out between those three schools, all with only one district loss. Crazy.
What a mess.
Because you would have Summit that beat DeSoto,
Yeah.
DeSoto that beat Cedar Hill that beat Summit.
Wow.
Wild.
All the way through. It kind of reminds you of that 1 year in the Big 12 where you had Texas Tech, Texas, and Oklahoma. Was that 2009?
The Crabtree year.
Was it? Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Shout out to Graham Harrell.
Yeah, former North Texas
We miss him
offensive
at North
coordinator.
Texas.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that is the case.
Yeah,
That
we
is the
do.
case. Come back, Graham.
Please.
But yeah, I mean, we knew 7-6A was going to be interesting. We didn't know it was going to be like this, though. I mean, we knew it was one of the tougher, deeper districts in the entire DFW area, but the way that things have kind of just shaken out, it makes things absolutely kind of on edge a little bit for some of those. And there's going to be a team like Lake Ridge that might not make the playoffs.
Yeah, now the loss for SGP helps tonight for them, but certainly you look at South Grand Prairie now that is 3-2 in district play. I believe Lake Ridge is as well. They might be 2-3 in district play. I'd have to go back and look at that, but Lake Ridge could be. I mean, they're fighting for that fourth spot. I think the top three seem pretty solidified right now with DeSoto, Cedar Hill. I should start with, then DeSoto, and then you've got Summit. Well, I guess Summit over DeSoto since they won. Well, those are the top three. And that fourth spot, it's kind of up for grabs. But yeah, Lake Ridge might not even get in.
Yeah, I can't. For me,
and that's the team that won district last year, or a share of it.
For me, DeSoto is still king of the hill. Even with losing last night to Summit, I just don't. I just feel like it had more to do with the weather.
No, I think so too.
Than anything.
And I'm not trying to. It sounds like I am, and maybe if you want to take it that way, fine. But I really do think the last night's game was very weather related. I think it was. I mean, fluky is kind of a negative word to use, but I really think DeSoto is a better football team than Mansfield Summit. If that had been good conditions out there, I don't think Summit finds a way to win that football game over DeSoto. I'm sorry, I don't. Summit, I still don't know what to even think of that football team.
Yeah,
it's crazy. The one week you think, all right, they lose to SGP, and then now here you go, and they're upsetting DeSoto. I just don't. They're a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, Forrest. You never know.
It's a great point.
Well, the better defense, in my opinion, DeSoto. I feel like they have it.
What about DeSoto or Cedar Hill?
Here's the thing.
I got to go DeSoto on
if
that.
Cedar Hill defeats DeSoto on that Thursday night to end the season, DeSoto might be the 3 seed out of that district.
And if DeSoto is the 3 seed out of that district, do you know who they play first week?
I'm not sure of how big Mansfield Summit is, but they might be in for one of those horrible week one matchups.
Yeah,
that could bite DeSoto. And they could be looking at Duncanville pretty early.
Immediately.
Yeah.
So that's, so DeSoto is in a situation where they were basically running the table. I mean, they've got to be kicking themselves for the loss last night, but still they have an opportunity to regain some traction, and it's going to take them winning that game, winning their next game, but also that last game against Cedar Hill.
Yep, they got to beat SGP, and then they got to beat Cedar Hill.
Is that game at Cedar Hill?
Yes.
It is, okay.
And they get SGP at home.
Man, that's going to be a good game.
I'm trying to look at Guy Frazier put out some scheduling predictions on who would be where, and he put DeSoto winning District 7. That took a severe hit last night.
No, he sent that yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, he sent this out yesterday.
If you find Cedar Hill on there, that might be who DeSoto would then play.
Okay, I'm gonna look.
Yeah,
see.
and so I just don't. I think when you look at both of these teams, speed-wise, I think DeSoto is the team that has the most speed of them both. I mean, quarterback position.
When you factor in Quinn Bright for Cedar Hill, they got some dogs that can run.
Do they really do?
But Jason
they
Brown
really do.
from
No, you're right. I think running back, I'd give the edge to DeSoto. But in terms of skill players on the outside, I think I give the edge to Cedar Hill.
And what have we seen Cedar Hill lose to so far this year?
So,
Geyer?
And then it's Caden Salter and Samari Collier, and they're both very similar.
Okay, going back to this.
Salter.
Going back to this, because of today, because of the size, Cedar Hill and Mansfield Summit, out of those 4 top teams in that District 7 4A, would remain in Division 2. So that would send South Grand Prairie and DeSoto in Division 1. There's a chance, and it's a small chance,
Tough for DeSoto, man.
that DeSoto would end up as the first round opponent for Duncanville.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh,
So-
but even for Duncanville, you're like, crap.
Now-
first round.
That's all order.
Thank you.
That's a third round
And then-
matchup, fourth round matchup.
Yeah. That's a tough
But
one.
we've seen this with DeSoto. They
Right
ran
out the
into
gate?
that every single
That's
year,
fun.
playing Allen in the area. Round.
Here's the thing, though, because of the sizes, I think DeSoto is fine. I think they're going to end up playing Dallas Skyline in the first round just because of the way enrollment shakes out. South Grand Prairie would then be the team that they're compared against in that district.
But what if Lake Ridge gets in over SGP?
Then I think it would be DeSoto playing Duncanville. Is probably
That's a heck of a week 1 matchup.
well, no, it wouldn't even be that because DeSoto if
Which is
even
a
if
big
Lake
if.
Ridge
I mean, I
gets
think
over,
SGP's
even if Lake Ridge gets over, they would still have to jump Duncanville. Duncanville would still be compared to Lake Ridge. So I think
Right, you're
Duncanville's
right.
okay. I
Yeah.
think Duncanville's probably going to end up playing a team like Dallas Skyline in that first round. I don't think it's going to be a Duncanville and DeSoto matchup in the first round anyway. So just kind of interesting
That would be a
overall to look at.
It'll be fantastic to watch.
Oh, it's going to be
But
unbelievable
yeah, in
to
terms
watch.
of both those teams, someone's season's ending way too early. Way too early.
I saw this a second ago, though. Also, kind of going with that district. There's a region with the winner of District 5 6A, the runner-up of 6 6A, 7 6A, and 8 6A, all kind of in that same region. Well, right now, the way it sits, it would be Denton Geyer playing Flower Mound Marcus in the first round, and then it would be Cedar Hill in the bottom part of that region. So it would be like basically 3 of some of the 4 top teams in the area.
Geyer and Marcus would
First
be,
and second round, right there.
That would be a war. Geyer and Marcus.
That would be interesting.
Very physical football game. But Geyer and Cedar Hill, keep in mind, they played a non-district. Geyer winning that football game, but
Beat
it was a
them down.
close one. It was close.
I thought they wouldn't. I thought that Geyer,
No,
Keisha Cobb had
it ended up being
day.
a very close game. He did have a day. I mean, both teams. Geyer put up buku numbers, but it was a high-scoring, pretty close game.
Buku has reared its head.
Love a good buku.
He got it.
Now, we've got about 15 minutes left in the show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to run through some more of the final scores. We're going to update you on some of our predictions, and we're going to give you the final of an overtime bout between Wilmer Hutchins and Dallas Carter. The Carter Cowboys, could they hold on the road? We'll tell you when we come back.
How's that
Eric's-
Whataburger?
Eric's just taking a bite out of the Whataburger.
So good. Thank you, Greg.
We'll be back in a moment.
I'm Billy Martin. I'm an Executive Vice President with North Dallas Bank and Trust. It's about authentic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. At local banks like North Dallas, we give you personalized service that you just can't get at the big banks. Everything we do is driven by your best interest. We call it having a high YQ or U quotient.
It's in all of us, and we won't hold it back. Not one little bit. Nope, we embrace it. letting it fuel our passions, pushing us deeper than we thought possible and keeping us curious. It's what sets us apart from the herd. It's how we come up with the ideas that make people say, why didn't I think of that? See, when you nurture the creativity and passion that's in all of us, you'll learn nothing is out of reach.
Ashley Home Store, the #1 furniture and mattress store in America. We have all the major mattress brands at a guaranteed low price. Plus, we have furniture for every room in the house and decorator accessories to make it yours. With multiple locations, personalized service from knowledgeable associates, and convenient finance plans to fit your budget. Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys. This is home.
Days are built on mornings, and Whataburger is built on burgers. Mornings, burgers. Morning burgers? Yeah, all right. Good thing there's a burger made just for breakfast, topped with breakfast. Good thing there's the new limited time breakfast burger at Whataburger.
We've got ourselves a winner. Wilmer Hutchins to the end zone, and it's over. Kyle Douglas Jr. Hutch holds on to beat Carter in overtime.
Kyle Douglas Jr.
Man, what a play by Jalen Moore.
Wow. It didn't take 11 tonight.
Backside, boom. They're able to get it in. How about those Wilmer Hutchins all blue unis? Carter, they trailed throughout this one. They came back. They forced OT.
Kyle Yeomans get the victory
Came up
prediction.
just short.
Can't stand that guy. No
Can't
high fives
stand
for me,
him.
pal.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Golly.
Oh, man.
Wilmer
Damn
Hutchins
it, I can't
improves to
stand it.
3-1 in district. They're now on top of Dallas Carter in the district standings. Carter falls to
That's
2-2.
These prediction games are rigged.
Huge win.
That's big. 19-13, and what looked like a defensive struggle early on, and then turns around, and it's a one-score win in overtime for Wilmer Hutchins.
Someone said that Kyle Douglas Jr. was going to be the best player on the field, and he did not disappoint.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he made the play when it counted, that's for sure. He's a special player, but credit Carter, defensively, they really held him in check for most of the night. But you just give that guy enough chances, he's going to come up with a play when you need it, and he certainly did there.
And, well, on 3rd and goal, there was an opportunity for Carter with the football to try and find their way into the end zone, and they fumbled it in the middle of it was right around the 3-yard line is what we're looking at, and that's when Hutch took over, and then that was the next play, the touchdown winning run for Wilmer Hutchins, and like you said, crucial district win for Hutch, and they're able to put up a win over Dallas Carter. Now you alluded to those prediction games, right?
Yeah.
And you remember how we kind of disagreed on a lot of these, right? Basically throughout everybody.
We did.
We definitely did. I'm going to run through these real quick. So, Colleyville Heritage and Grapevine, Battle of the Red Rail. Eric was the only one that picked Grapevine. So, that's a loss for Eric.
Great.
Flower Mound Marcus. Eric and I chose Flower Mound Marcus, where you guys on the other side of the table took Flower Mound. So, splits that one. This side of the table got that one
Feeling
right.
good.
There
Kyle's
you go.
2-0.
I'm 2-0. So going to Parish Episcopal, I was the only one that picked Prestonwood. That did not go well, so a win for all of you guys.
All right, yeah.
You got that one.
Woo!
Good job,
Hey,
guys.
we did it,
look at
baby.
Ekma.
We did
Where
it,
are you
baby.
going with this?
So remember when you said that I was either going to go way up or way down?
I hope you're going way down.
No, we all went 3-2.
Of course we did. Of course we did.
Wait, we all went 4-2. That's impossible.
3-2.
Oh crap!
Man, listen to my
Yeah.
words. 3-2.
Ay.
So I'm still tied for last.
Yep. So is Ekma.
Guys, we're just, you know what? I love all of you. I think we all put a valuable effort out there. 3-2. We were above 500. What can you say?
What else can you ask
Geniuses.
We are. Yeah.
Geniuses.
Even with like the split pick'ems all the way through.
I know.
We never had. This might be one of the few weeks we've never had a week where it's like everyone doesn't pick one squad. Well, this week it still ended up being 3-2 all the way through. So
have we given Professor Diggs the call-in number to call in?
No.
To apologize?
If there's one guy that knows the playoff seedings and the projections, it's Diggs.
Is he watching the show right now?
Oh, of course he's watching. He's one of our biggest fans. He's already blowing up the Twitter. Like,
fan?
you guys are killing me right now with the playoff projections. And he knows this.
Is
like,
he saying they're bad? Like we're all over the place?
We're probably all over the place.
That's probably true.
We probably are.
I don't know.
And he knows the real deal
Well,
there.
basically, we looked at it, and the more I looked at it, there's no way that Duncanville and DeSoto play first round. It's not happening.
Diggs,
It's not
Duncanville, DeSoto, yay or nay?
It's a nay.
Okay.
I can tell you right now, it's a nay. It's not happening.
Okay, Yeoman says no.
It's not going to happen. Now, with that being said, we'll leave that to Professor Diggs. We might have to get him on the show sometime in the next couple weeks, especially with as many playoff matchups and implications that are kind of starting to unfold a little bit. And like you said, he's the one that ended up kind of being at least the go-to guy in that regard.
Well, you can probably stay up till 2 a.m. at Professor Diggs and follow along.
And he'll be fine. Yeah, he'll
have it out there for you.
He'll get it for you.
Knowledge bombs at 2 a.m. from Diggsy are just some of my
Absolutely.
favorite Saturday morning traditions.
Is that what you just follow Diggs on Saturday morning and that's where it goes?
Precisely.
That's
And by
exactly
Saturday
what I do,
morning,
too.
I mean 2 a.m.,
Basically,
3 a.m.
All right, let me catch up.
After I have Whataburger for the fourth time.
Diggs has got me good to go.
How was that? Did you finish that burger in the break?
Yeah,
I saw you
and
take a
Heckmas.
big old bite out of it.
Have you
finished
tried
mine
the
at
breakfast
Heckmas.
burger?
I did try the breakfast
Any
burger.
good?
Very solid, very solid. I'm still a taquito guy. I'm partial to the double sausage
I'm a
taquito.
honey butter chicken biscuit guy.
Honey butter chicken biscuit can't go wrong. I love Whataburger through and through. And I admire what they're doing with the breakfast burger.
I think
it
it's
is
a
cool.
fantastic
I
concept.
think the move with the breakfast burger though is to go with the double patty, just to give you a little bit because it's a little eggy right now.
I like
you
a
go
good
double
egg.
patty, it feels a little bit more burgerish with a side of egg.
This is an intimate relationship.
No.
I appreciate that.
Him and the breakfast burger.
Yeah.
You said like when you use eggy, when you put eggy out there,
Yeah.
it's serious.
It's top notch.
I love a good eggie.
So going back to football,
Who
so
doesn't?
people don't. I'm sorry if you're still tuned in to Friday Night Stars at this point.
This is what makes
It's a
our
big
show
if.
great.
You're a
It's just
champion.
I'm
the
sorry.
random banter.
I just want to let you know I'm sorry. Anyways, going back to this Carter and Wilmer Hutchins game after the win, I think Guy got a chance to catch up with one of their individuals. I don't know if we have that interview quite yet.
Was it Sabatini?
We'll try and get that here in just a couple of moments. But Wilmer Hutchins was able to win. Kyle, you mentioned Kyle Douglas Jr., quite possibly the best player on the field. 10 for 21 with a $142. That's not necessarily your normal Kyle Douglas stat line.
Not at all. No, and that's the credit to Carter and that defense. But but like Walchuk said, especially when you get to overtime, you continue giving this guy chances and opportunities. At some point, he's going to make you pay. And unfortunately for Carter tonight, it was in the biggest moment of the game, Kyle Douglas Jr. Getting the job done.
Yeah, that's the one mistake. That's the one mistake you can't make is give Kyle Douglas Jr. the ball back. Period.
Now, even with that being said, looking on the other side, the passing was not there for Carter either. I mean, Case Williams went 3 for 14 passing. That's not good.
Not going to win you a lot of
They
football
were
games
playing
doing
from
that.
behind the whole game. Carter had to.
He had 15 yards.
Was really playing from behind and eventually clawed their way back to force overtime there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And they had their opportunity, like you said, in overtime. They fumbled.
Yeah, they fumbled it.
Well, two things that we have to look at is that a lot of guys are not used to handling the wet ball. And so, I mean, that's an art to
good
that.
point.
We looked at when we were talking about the Flower Mound game, Blake Short versus Garrett Nussmeier, and one impacting the other, and so it just comes down with a guy that's seasoned and has been coached up on how to play with the wet ball. And obviously, they're not coaching that at Carter. So it's just not what's happening. I mean, running game wise, they stick to what they know. Give the kid Johnson the ball, let him run it. But outside of that, they didn't have much offensive production in the air. 15 yards passing. It has a lot to do with the fact that the weather was just abysmal and they couldn't play through it.
Yeah, and just a sloppy game overall. But the running game was there for both sides. I mean, Billy Monroe III had 23 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown for Wilmer.
That's what you do.
For Hutch. And then on the other side, then you had
you do.
the Carter Cowboys. I mean, Jamarian Jones was great tonight.
Yeah, he's outstanding.
19 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown.
He's a
in that one.
man-child.
Yeah, but he's been doing that all year, guys.
No, he has.
That's him.
Great.
But now Wilmer Hutchins, and it's amazing. This was a team that was really struggling. You get Kyle Douglas Jr. back, and their season is completely flipped. Now they're looking like they have an inside track outside of Alvarado to either be the first or the second seed in that district. So Kyle Douglas Jr., we've talked about that. Players that are injured and the impacts they can have. Quarterback, certainly the most important position on the field. So Kyle Douglas Jr., I think, takes the cake there. But when you look at Seth McGowan not being there for Poteet, they fall tonight. E.J. Smith and how Jesuit looks like a completely different team now with him back in the lineup. It's just amazing the difference that one player can make in high school football.
Yeah, and one thing that helps out with that, and to kind of at least supplement that a little bit, is the fact that there are senior leaders on that Wilmer Hutchins squad.
Yes.
One of which, LZ Barnett Jr. He's a senior and the head coach's son. And after the game, Guy Frazier got a chance to catch up with him.
All right, Guy Frazier with Friday Night Stars. We just went final here at Eagle Stadium in Wilmer Hutchins. 19-13 final in overtime. Wilmer Hutchins defeats Dallas Carter tonight here with senior safety for Wilmer Hutchins, LZ Barnett Jr. LZ, first off, just tell me what it's like to get a overtime win on homecoming.
Man, it's nothing like it. It's well deserved. I mean, not just myself, but the whole team. We had to come together and fight as a unit. Defense had to get stops. Offense had to put points on the board as they did in that overtime. So, man, it just feels great to get a win like that, especially in overtime. Make you actually work for that. So it feels good.
Now, talk about your defensive unit. I heard in the second quarter you kind of talking to everybody about keeping a certain energy.
Yes, sir.
Talk about y'all's play tonight as a unit.
Man, when we went in, coming into this game, we said we had to play fast and physical. We did a good job at that in the first half, but the second half we had to get back moving. We had to get back on track. So I had to just keep telling them, fast and physical, and those are the two words that I stressed. And we played fast and physical, and we came out victorious.
All right, y'all get Alvarado next week. Sounds like if y'all get that win, district championship is most likely coming back here to the Hutch.
Yes, sir.
Talk about that opportunity next week.
Man, back to back, it's nothing like it. We got to take advantage of it. We have a good team. We done had our ups, we done had our downs, but we're not losing no more. We're not. So going into that game, we got to have the mindset, same mindset we had coming to this game. But we just got to account. We just got to make sure that we go out there and do all our assignments to the best of our ability, and we'll come back victorious, back-to-back district champs. That's the goal.
There you go, LZ. Congrats on the win tonight.
Thank you.
Go celebrate homecoming with your guys, and we'll see you down the road.
Thank you, sir.
Two of the best things about Texas high school football: passion coming from the players, and then the fans.
Yeah, they're jamming in the background.
They're jamming.
And you had said it. Those would be the two best bands tonight. I don't doubt that they were.
Yeah.
And he brought it there in that interview. I appreciate it. And what a game next week. Hutch and Alvarado.
That'll be good.
Hutch trying to go for back-to-back. That's what it's all about.
I'll tell you,
we ain't losing again.
That
Right?
got me fired up.
Hey, and that's definitely a coach's kid. You could tell by the way he talked. Everything that he was talking about is coaches speak, guys, and it was coming from a young guy.
Well, we've got plenty to kind of mull over. Week 9, we're going to double digits next week. Week 10
We
of
are.
the Texas high school football season.
I got the Twitter reply from Diggsy.
Okay.
SGP versus... Wow, my voice cracked there.
That's good.
Dude, that was cute.
That was awesome.
Aww. SGP, I'm constantly growing. SGP versus DeSoto next week is literally the loser plays Duncanville.
Well, we know that's going to be a hard fall game.
Yeah,
that's going to be a hard fall game.
I mean, obviously, I'm favoring DeSoto there. They're coming in angry, but so is SGP. They just got embarrassed tonight by Cedar Hill. So
well, I mean, you're going to get angry and you go into the room with Debo. You better watch it, and Debo's going to be in that room with SGP.
Yeah, the worst thing for SGP is that DeSoto lost last night, and they're going to have an extra day to prepare for this game, get their bodies right. They're going to be ready to go out there and dominate next week.
Well, thank you, Professor Diggs, for clarifying things.
Yes, thank you.
That's going to be interesting. Oh, man, because you're not only are you fighting for seeding, you're basically fighting for your playoff lives next week in that one. District of Doom getting a little bit more doom and gloom.
Yeah, you don't want to be the first. You don't want to be the first on that list for Duncanville going through this playoff run. And it wouldn't matter. And the one thing about it, looking at DeSoto, and I say that, well, hey, I wouldn't want that for DeSoto. I want to see that matchup later in the playoffs because I think it's going to be a monster game.
I think it would be a monster game, and it would be fun to see early on, but we might get it earlier than expected.
True.
If that's the case. So that is going to do it, though, here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars, Week 9 of Texas high school football season. Boys, stars of the night, Eric, go.
Oh, Chris Beam for the Whataburger. Got to show him some love. But the true freshman, Owen Allen, running back for Southlake, 213 yards. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 scores for the freshman. Got to show him some love in the big homecoming victory tonight for the Dragons.
I'm going sophomore running back for Colleyville Heritage, Isaac Shabay. Big night tonight, 96 yards running, 2 touchdowns. He did his thing.
I'm going to go with Luke Ferris, the unsung hero there for Argyle. You get a lot of big players there that get credit. Luke Ferris, $1.99 tonight, 4 touchdowns as Argyle rolls Melissa.
I'm going to go with our 2 directors in the back. Caden Gates for filling in our pregame show, and then Chris Beam for just being Chris Beam. I mean, he's outstanding.
Fresh Cut Friday, Chris Beam looking sharp.
Haircut.
I love you, Chris.
Whataburger. The turnover chain, but we're going to make him my star of the night. Man, it's been fun. By the way, Lincoln lost tonight. That's going to do it for us here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars. For Zach Wolchuk, Heckma Harrison, Eric Chiafalo, for Matt Kent, Caden Gates, Chance Williams, Chris Beam, Tyler Perkins, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in Week 10. God bless.